In the dawn of 2023, one filmmaker took on a job that no one else in Hollywood wanted to take. One man thrust his spear into the ground and chose to take on the toxic snake of a fandom head-on. One man will guide fans of mythology and legend into the world of tomorrow with truth, justice, and the American way. That man is James Gunn, and he is the DC Studios co-CEO with a vision of a better tomorrow.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. Really wanted to do a little bit of a gaggy thing for the beginning of everything tonight, which is why I used an artificial voice. It was supposed to sound a little bit like Morgan Freeman, but I didn't have time to program the AI to do it justice. But there we go, folks. There we go. It's been a day. It's been a very interesting day. A lot of emotions. A lot of people out there having a ball. A lot of people out there coping like crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's finally here and it's finally happening. And what is no Zack Snyder? It's just a thing, folks. It is absolutely just a thing. You have to love it. You have to laugh your ass off at where we find ourselves in regards to just like the discourse of DC fandoms, right? Like right before going live, I happened across the live stream of a bunch of people hanging out with Sellout Sutton, you know, and they're coping, right? Oh, it sounds like Marvel. This sounds absolutely terrible. Oh my God, I can't wait to not watch this, but I can't stop talking about it. And I just have to ask the question. Did any of you bitches even pay the fuck attention to what was being said today? Did any of you actually like understand what is going on? Like, what is it that you wanted? Oh, I see. You wanted more Henry Cavill as Superman. Hate to break it to you. Henry was out in 2018. All right. He was brought back and dicked around by his own friend, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And well, you know what? And James Gunn actually references that today. All right. Like he actually references that, calls it out, but nobody out there wants to acknowledge that Henry Cavill got dicked around by the previous regime, dicked around by his friends, dicked around by people involved in this, in the DC studio side or DC films, really. But oh no, James Gunn fired my favorite Superman, who you haven't seen on the big screen in over 5 years. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. You know, you got to learn to take your W's and you got to learn to take your L's. That, my friends, is life. Not every day is Christmas. Not every day is rainbows, sunshine, sunsets, and blowjobs. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. But today we finally got the information. In fact, just over 13 hours ago it dropped. And I've been sitting on this all goddamn day. I've been sitting on this all goddamn day. I watched it when it dropped this morning. I talked a little bit about it on Max's stream. If you guys saw Max's stream, oh my God, that was hysterical. All right. I love that. I love that. You gotta love it that some people freak out about this. Ralph Double Tits here says it was Hamada, but you somehow spin it to being a rock hit piece. See, I love this revisionist history, Ralph. You're good at it, sir. Don't quit your J job for it, but you're good at it. Hamada said no, but did you know that was a Toby Emmerich edict? Toby Emmerich is the one that officially fired Henry Cavill as Superman back in 2018. It was Toby Emmerich who did that. Hamada shut it down because Hamada knew that it wasn't going to go anywhere, because Hamada understood where things were going. Hamada had the foresight to understand that the new regime was going to go a different direction. Because perhaps, I don't know, he knew what was going on, that maybe he was friends with people in the industry that were above him, and he had a general idea that maybe things were going to change, and also that they were going to do things vastly different than what he wanted to do. But The Rock is the one that used his power, used his stature to muscle Henry Cavill cameo in, and it didn't work out the way that he wanted it to. And as a result of that, Well, it was a bad play at marketing, and Henry Cavill got dicked around. So I'm sorry. You can sit there and try to say this is a Rock hit piece. I'm saying people made mistakes. And as The Rock himself has said, you win some, you lose some, but he hasn't taken ownership of that one specific thing. Which is the Henry Cavill bit at Black Adam. Garrick here for $5. Thank you, buddy. Kicking off super chats for the night. Asking, do you think certain people want James Gunn's DCU to fail? Yes. Yes, I do. Anyone associated with Mikey Sutton and Geekosity Mag, anyone out there saying sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix, anyone pushing nonsense and bullshit at any point in time going forward want nothing more than James Gunn and Peter Safran's new universe, which is a bit of an amalgamation. It's definitely going to be a bit connected. It's definitely going to be some semblance of what happened before. Some little tidbits, some of the DNA are still going to be in there. But it is largely going to be something that is new, and it will eventually be something that is wholly new and wholly unique. But these two co-CEOs are in a certain situation, a very precarious one if you think about it, where they are coming in to take over a company that has 4 movies coming out in 2023. All right? 4 movies coming out in 2023 that they have to find a way to tie into everything that they want to do going forward in their softish reboot. You understand what I'm saying on that one? Like, they are in a position that no one would want to be in because they don't get the opportunity of starting from scratch necessarily. They have so much baggage. They have so much damn baggage that it's wild, man. It's definitely wild to see that play out because no one out there is going to be happy. Right? No one in the old Snyder fandom is going to be happy about this. People out there are just, again, they're upset. They're crying up a storm. Where is Zaddy? Why hasn't Zaddy said anything? Why hasn't Zaddy come out and said anything? Well, here's the thing. Zaddy hasn't said anything about this on his Vero or on his Twitter or anywhere. Mr. Zack Snyder, lover of other filmmakers, wanting their voices to be heard, wanting their visions to be seen. His old pal, James Gunn, the guy who wrote the very first movie he directed, his old buddy, he said nothing in support. The Rock had said nothing in support because these guys are really about their ego. As I've said for a while, and what I think people out there really need to understand and really need to recognize is in this specific situation, underneath this specific topic, Zack Snyder is not your friend. Zack Snyder has no desire to see DC succeed under any circumstances, even though it's a new regime, even though one of his good friends, supposedly, is heading the show. He doesn't want it to succeed. And he'll do that by claiming silence. And he'll act that way. And he'll maintain that silence when his fan base is terrorizing everyone on Twitter and he's off doing his own thing because, quite frankly, he doesn't give a shit. And look, no shade at Zach for that. Really, honest to God, no shade for Zach at that one. And I say that because he doesn't have to care. But I wish he would care enough to try to call off the bloodthirsty hounds that are apparently calling his good friend, James Gunn, a pedo. Because a lot of those people with Snyder somewhere in their Twitter handle or their Twitter bio, or, they have Zack Snyder pajamas or ZS, JL sheets and bedspreads, or I don't know, a fleshlight. All of those people who are in Zack's name, doing things in Zack's name, using his name, calling his friends pedophiles, calling anyone who supports that guy a pedophile, doing everything they can to spread negativity and hatred and division across the internet in literal Zack Snyder's name, are he's silent about this shit, right? Oh, I can't control my fan base. I'm so you could fucking try, sir. A simple tweet of, hey, knock it off, would quell the masses. But no, he'd rather these people get worked up into a tizzy and then storm the Capitol of Warner Brothers. Hypothetically. Speculatively. Anyway, Rational here for 2, thank you, says, Gunn said previous regime dicked around Cavill. He did, and I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that one there. Did James Gunn say anything about Rebel Moon? Why the fuck would he? We were talking about Rebel Moon today. Ralph here saying, why does he have to say something? He is done with DC and working on his own shit. As I said, when you've got all of these people who are out there in Zack's name, rallying behind his banner, doing everything they can to try to push the narrative of sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix. February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day. We can't get no pussy, but we gonna spread this shit. All right, I'm just saying. They can't get no girl to spread her legs, so they're gonna spread bullshit. Don't you think if someone was out there in my name saying that kind of shit, doing that kind of shit, treating my friends like shit, that maybe it would just be, I don't know, the professionally courteous thing to do to maybe tell those people to kindly fuck off or to shut their fucking trap? I mean, that's just an idea. That's just a fucking wild, amazing concept that I just came up. It doesn't show human fucking decency, right? It doesn't show human fucking empathy. You know what I'm saying? You can criticize the company all you fucking want, but they're going personal with that pedo shit. I think it's fucking ridiculous. I think it's fucking stupid. And I really think Zack Snyder needs to fucking put his goddamn big boy pants on and say something, because people in the industry that he loves, that he's working in, that he's been around his entire life, are being shit on by his fucking fans for things outside of Zack's control. Don't you fucking think for a second? Don't you fucking think that maybe just like the general basis of fucking human empathy for somebody else would at least warrant some kind of like, hey, knock it off? Now, Anthony here, again, Mr. Wet Blanket, gotta love Mr. Wet Blanket, says here, isn't it weird that The Rock and Snyder have to congratulate everyone to make Matt happy? It's not that you have to congratulate to make me happy, but that is standard business practices in Hollywood. When it's your friends, when it's part of something, dude, you don't even fucking know, man. I worked at a flower shop, Mark's Garden, in Sherman Oaks, California. I've talked about this. The same company that makes the flower arrangements for the goddamn Oscars. I fielded phone calls from the Kardashians. I fielded phone calls from top tier brands. Leanne Rimes' mom, very sweet woman. Chris Pine's assistant, very sweet woman. People will send congratulatory flowers if you blow your nose in public. Hollywood is all about the congratulations. It's all about that kind of persona because it just comes across as being shown as solidarity in the industry. And if everyone celebrates everyone else's successes, then it's something that they do as a courtesy. So the fact that you've got silence when it comes from The Rock, whose movie had just come out, the last DC film under the old regime, really, it's not going to be tinkered with by these new guys, says nothing. Zack Snyder says nothing, even in the face of all this bullshit that he's fucking fully aware of, says nothing. It goes to show you precisely what I'm talking about. Spherical Man here says, basic professional courtesy to congratulate a friend of the business. Goddamn right. But apparently suggesting that that's that norm be maintained, right? Because it gives you an idea of where people stand on this shit. Like there's a lot that goes into what is said and what is not said specifically in Hollywood, especially if somebody unfollows somebody else on their social media. That kind of stuff ends up getting looked at. And it's relatively indicative of where we find ourselves, at least in regards to this kind of shit. So that's what I'm fucking talking about here, Mr. Wet Blanket. If you want to sit there, again, I don't think you understand how the industry operates. I really don't. And that's okay. That's why you're here. Yeah, I'm being a little egotistical. What can I say? Anyway, H. Ricer for 5. Thank you, buddy. Says, The Rock a dick. He tried to fuck with DC, and now for over 2 years, he's teased a match with his cousin, and now says he won't be ready. I don't know who his cousin is. If that's a fucking WrestleMania thing, I have no idea. All I'm saying on that one is like, he shot his shot, which is good. He did. He shot his shot. He was able to convince the heads of the Warner Brother Picture Group to bring in Henry Cavill during a power vacuum situation, right? It was a power vacuum situation. They shot their shot as a way to try to gauge fan reaction. It didn't happen. Now here we are where we are. But again, what I'm talking about here is the mere fact that what you've got is a person who is not coming out and telling his very vocal, very vile, very toxic, very disgusting fan base to chill the fuck out. If it were me and people were out there fucking saying all sorts, if you guys in here were saying shit to like other people, calling them all sorts of names, I would tell you to shut the fuck up. And then I'd probably start blocking you from the goddamn chat because you're no fan of mine or listener of mine if you engage in that kind of behavior, you know? And I know I call out people all the time, and I think there's a thing with that, but it's like, I try to, you know, but there's a level of decorum. You can shit fling, but when you start going super personal and calling someone a goddamn pedophile and everything else like that, that's vile ass behavior. That's vile ass behavior. Okay. Roman Reigns is The Rock's cousin. I don't watch wrestling. You guys know this thing here. I don't know nothing of what you're talking about. Garrick here for 5. Thank you, buddy. Says, some people are upset. Much of DCU chapter 1 is full of obscure properties instead of A-listers. Do these people not know James Gunn loves this stuff? I think a part of it is like, there are people out there, and this is one of the things, and I'll get into HBAR's super chat here in a second. But what people are talking about, we're going to watch the video here in a second. But what people have to remember about Gunn is, yes, he likes these stories. He is very much a fan of these kind of underdog stories and smaller characters making them mainstream. What he wants to do is use these smaller characters in conjunction with bigger characters to bring smaller characters into the mainstream to build fan bases around those smaller characters. And that's being done predominantly because of budgets. And also that having some of these obscure characters getting their own shit can work out really well. Oh my God. Remember Peacemaker? Right? Remember before Suicide Squad came out and we're all like, they're doing a fucking Peacemaker show. Like, why the fuck are they doing a goddamn Peacemaker show? All right. And then you watch Peacemaker, and Peacemaker is not the hero of that movie. In fact, he's kind of a sub-villain. And at the end of that movie, you kind of fucking hate Peacemaker because you're like, oh my God, he's a dick. And then you're like, but how are we going to end up enjoying what's going to be happening with the Peacemaker show? How are we even going to remotely like that because of how much of a dick Peacemaker is? Oh, but then you watch Peacemaker and you realize, oh, right, he's just an emotionally stunted child. Oh, okay. He's got baggage due to his extremely racist and white nationalist / supremacist father. Oh, he's got his own problems. Oh, okay. Childhood trauma, that rears its ugly head. Oh, all right. And you realize that he does things because he feels that he had to, and he was trying to please Amanda Waller, which is why he did what he did. But through the process of watching those 8 episodes, we start to understand the character, understand the motivations, and understand the why. Once we start to understand the ethos and the mythos, we start to get more of an understanding of these characters and why they're good and why they're fun to listen to and why they're fun to watch. And of course, that's something James Gunn is quite good at. So if you are looking at his slate and going like, but I don't know these characters, that's actually a good thing because it gives you the opportunity to not continuously go to the same well that, let's be fair, DC always pumps from. And that's one of the things that Gunn is going to bring to the table. Anyway, H-Barts here does ask a question. Did Max throw a fit? Max got a little heated. It was pretty fucking funny. What happened with Max. He rates it a B+, and then goes on to say like, I don't think you're going to give us everything. You know, it is what it is. It's really fucking funny. You should go back and watch it. He just can't stand pushback. It's pretty funny. And there's all that. Spider-Man here says, Fire James Gunn was trending for an hour. Yeah, people were talking about it. It was just like, whatever, though. It doesn't even matter. So why don't we? Oh, let's see. Hold on. Ralph Silvertitzer says, the Chuds are claiming that Gunn has chopped Superman balls by giving Supergirl the title of Woman of Tomorrow. Yeah, that's actually in this announcement, by the way. That's in this announcement. So why don't we dive into the announcement? Now that we're 20 minutes in, I've gone through my rant. I've gone through all this shit, but let's see what James Gunn actually has to say. And I will pause it only infrequently so we get the full context of it.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of...
Okay, sorry. I know I said I wasn't going to pause it a lot, but I got to address that. Yeah, it's been disconnected. Now, people out there were complaining about the disconnect. Why is it disconnected? Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's because they didn't trust Zack Snyder. Zack was trying to connect everything. Zack even said that his movies were going to end with Justice League Part 3, supposedly. And that was going to end his run, meaning after that, it would have been open for a reboot. It would have been open for a reinterpretation. He wasn't planning for a long-term consistent universe. He was planning for a small run of movies to build up to Justice League, to get through Darkseid, and then at the end of that, do the whole Flashpoint thing and reset everything. We have to remember that that is the story Zack wanted to tell. That is not the story that James Gunn and Peter Safran want to tell, that now wants something to be connected. And if you listen to his words, what I'm going to show you guys, he explains it in pretty simplistic terms.
You know, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity.
Now, real quick on the Elseworlds thing, yes, it's happening. Obviously, the Batman, the Penguin, the Joker, Teen Titans Go, Superman and Lois is still going to be around for a little bit longer. They said 1 to 2 more seasons. Once that's done, right, once those are done, Elseworlds is going to go bye-bye. All right, like, I think we need to acknowledge that now and get ready for that now. Like, I don't know if the Batman Part 2, which is what's going to be, they talk about that here in a little bit, I don't know if that's going to wrap up what Matt Reeves wants to do. I don't see that happening because I think those movies are going to be very, very, very profitable. But at the same time, that Elseworlds universe is going to get smaller and smaller until it finally does go away. Because again, consistency is key.
Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. And then,
now, real quick, 2 things. One, thank you very much, John, for becoming a member. I can't see what it is from here. So if someone's got to tell me if it's a matinee, a prime, or an IMAX, but probably a matinee. But anyway, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Also here real quick, Jess for 5. Thank you. Says you can play around with lesser known characters since they don't have the baggage of legacy. That's exactly the whole point with this, right? And the other side too of what James Gunn had just said is that the Flash is now confirmed to 100% reboot the DCU. All right. Reboot the DCU. Now, that's the word that a lot of people out there were kind of dreading and others out there were kind of hoping for because they want to see what's going to happen. It's really interesting to see where they take it after the Flash, considering Blue Beetle and Aquaman are on the horizon. But now we know that it's going to be its own thing. Now, Ryan here says, I think it's fine to have standalone movies. And I understand that. But in this particular case, what he's brought in to do is he's brought in to compete with Marvel. So standalone movies are no longer going to be a thing. All right. Like it's no longer going to be a thing. So, but okay. Again, go listen to what I'm saying. You guys gotta understand that the Elseworlds content right now is all from previous regimes. All right. It's all from previous regimes. You guys got to understand that once that's done with, there's no reason to do Elseworlds. There's no reason to do it. If you listen, again, we're going to get into it here, and I'm kind of getting a bit ahead of myself here, but he wants there to be consistency. David Zaslav wants DC to be Marvel. He brought in a Marvel guy who's a big DC fan to help guide that and play off that business model. They're not going to have non-consistent storytelling. All right. Now, Blessing here says, didn't trying to compete with Marvel get us in this position? Yes. But what you have to remember, Blessing, is that the move to compete with Marvel was done under Kevin Tushihara and that regime. And that regime, that was Time Warner. And Time Warner wanted to play extreme catch up. What we're talking about here is James Gunn and Peter Safran pushing for an 8 to 10 year plan to get us to that point. Understanding what needs to be done, right? Understanding all that stuff. Tales from the Hood here says, so Cavill straight up got fired. No, he was never cast. He was never part of their plan. So that's not firing him. That's just moving on. You know, Keji, here's the thing. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, I know that for certain. I'm going to tell you right now, I know that as soon as the Elseworld stuff, the Joker and Batman and all that stuff is done, it's going away. All right. People need to back off of you need to forget that Elseworlds exists outside of just these projects. You really do, because that's not what they're brought in to do. That's not what they're brought in to do. And again, you got to listen to what James Gunn says. We're going to get back to this. I'm going to let it play, but you need to really listen to what he is saying. All right. You're going to really, really, really listen to what he is saying, and you'll get and you start to see the big picture here. And I think that's what a lot of people are kind of forgetting.
To move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action. The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025. Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective, with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
So there's a lot there. I mean, there's a lot to take in, right? We've got the Authority, we got Supergirl, we got Superman, we got new Batman, Damian Wayne. You've got Creature Commandos, you've got Lanterns, you've got Themyscira, you've got Swamp Thing. You know, I was funny because I was talking about this the other day. I was asking what we might be seeing. And Casey Walsh was like, oh, we're only going to see like 2-3 projects. Yeah, that was wrong. We got to see a lot more than that. And a lot of people are, again, they look at this and they think, ooh, this is not what they wanted. But I think it's one of those scenarios where it may not be what you want, but it's what you need. All right. It's what you need. You know what I mean? And so one of the key reasons why this is interesting is because he's going to start building towards something. I don't know what it is. Apparently there's been a lot of other information kind of floating around out there. And this is the kind of stuff that's going to kick off in the next couple years. So there is a whole bunch of information that's kind of floated around today. We'll take a look here at the article from the Hollywood Reporter, which is what kicked off today's coverage. There's also apparently a member chat. Hold on, let me go and bring that up here because I guess I must have accidentally closed out my my thing. All right, where is that at? But anyway, so, you know, again, I think this is really exciting, to be honest with you. I think this is really fascinating. I think there's some interesting stuff there. I like the weirder side of DC whenever that happens. I prefer to check out that kind of stuff. Like I've made comments about Superman, right? Like I made a joke earlier on Max's stream. I was red pilling people about his war crimes. We got Hans, who's been a matinee member for 10 months. Thank you, buddy. Says this is pretty neat. That's a good one. And then Dujon, who's been a member for 3 months, says, what's going to happen to Black Canary? I don't know yet. There's certain things we do not know what exactly is going on. That is one thing to consider here. We don't know everything yet. This isn't the whole slate. This is only part 1 of what they're doing, the first chapter on this one here. Also, Garrick for 5, thank you, says people are disappointed that an Authority movie is coming before Justice League. People need to be patient. Rushing is what failed the DCEU. I would almost argue that if the Authority, I saw someone else comment that they're kind of like the 7 from the boys, the Justice League might need to be formed in order to stop the Authority. And I know nothing of the Authority, so I'm merely just running on that. Especially if they feel like that they have the ability, if they don't like where things are and they want to be different kind of superheroes. Doesn't it kind of sound like the initial storyline for Kingdom Come, right? Where Superman retires because people want superheroes that kill. Kind of seemed like that a little bit, just a wee bit, just a wee bit. I'm not too sure there. We're going to have to see. Ralph Sebeltitz here says James Wan is 100% doing Swamp Thing, especially if it's a horror. I don't know, because James Wan did produce the Swamp Thing show for HBO Max, or DC Universe, that ended up getting canceled after its first episode. So there's that. Nihilus asks, what's going on with the Constantine sequel? Nothing. We just know that Keanu Reeves has been asking repeatedly for the movie for years. They finally said yes, but we don't know if it's going to happen or not. That could be an Elseworlds thing. That's entirely possible. That could be. All right. But I don't see why they would want to do that, considering the fact that they want to have these things be consistent across movies, animation, and gaming, right? Movies, television, animation, and gaming. So you guys got to remember, like, there are the pillars that they want to do. There's definitely those pillars that they want to do. So let's take a look here at the article from the Hollywood Reporter. DC Slate unveiled new Batman, Supergirl movies, a Green Lantern TV show, and more from James Gunn. Oh yeah, what I wanted to point out too was look at how he described the shows. Lanterns is like True Detective in space. That's interesting. The Themyscira show, right? That's more like Game of Thrones on Themyscira. You know, and he was referencing other HBO content in order for brand synergy. It was really smart of him to say that. Like, not a lot of other people caught that. I did, though. So this is what it says here. A new Batman movie without Robert Pattinson, but featuring Bruce Wayne's murderous son. A Superman movie on the release schedule. Mark your calendars for July 11th, 2025. A Game of Thrones-style drama set on Wonder Woman's home island of Themyscira. And an animated series already in productions. That's just part of what will be coming to theaters and TV screens as part of DC Studios bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran's new slate. The pair have been busy in the 3 months since taking over and combining the film and television slate of DC properties, including live action and animation as well as gaming. They've revamped the way movie and TV sides do business, cutting ties with projects and creators. A writer's room was formed to find an overall story that will launch. Again, I need to fucking reiterate this, guys. I need you to see this. Those of you who've been talking about, look at that right there. A unified DC universe. This is what you need to focus on, guys. This is what they're brought in for. This is what they're going to do. Unified DC universe. If you're all like, but Elseworlds, unified DC universe. They've got baggage from other shit that they're acknowledging they have baggage from other shit. Eventually that baggage is going to be, shipped away. It appears that they're going to let it do its course and they're not going to cancel it early, which is great, but it is going to go away. Just again, it's not right away, a couple years, but that's the plan. Creators have been approached and a plan, at least part of one from what's being billed as Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters, was formulated and a slate of projects put into development. Now, after ambitiously promising fans that they would have something to show them by February 1st, Gunn and Safran have unveiled the first part of their slate. It's a combination of big, well-known heroes along with lesser-known characters who may just become big like those once obscure heroes in Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy films. The duo shared their plans Monday with reporters in a petite and tidy screening room on the Warner Brothers lot. Gunn here said, some of our strategies is to take our diamond characters, which is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and use them to prop up other characters that people don't know. Safran also says to build those lesser known properties into the diamond properties of tomorrow. And again, that's the plan. That's the plan. Finding smaller characters that they're able to bring in cheaper actors and build those into the diamond properties that will get their rides at Six Flags, that will potentially, push merch and comic book sales and video games and everything else. All right. Like there's a lot going on with that. Like you just have to remember. All right. It's definitely like, this is, again, look at how Marvel's done it. That's kind of what you have to do. Now they say, while plans may yet shift, cautioned the duo. Here's the initial slate of projects for Chapter 1 and the order they're planned to appear. So we know about these. So these are in order. These are in order. And I'm wondering if Creature Commandos and Waller are going to take place in 2024, because I feel like Waller is going to take place in between Peacemaker Season 1 and Peacemaker Season 2, considering that she's going to be teaming up with Team Peacemaker. So that was an interesting line that he said there as well. This one is being written by Crystal Henry, who worked on Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, the creator of Doom Patrol. And since Doom Patrol is getting its chance to finish up with 4 hours, that's going to be great. So joining us right now is Anna. How's it going, Anna?
Hey, it's a pretty big day. Just
Huge day. Huge.
Been thinking about it nonstop, honestly.
I have not, but I've also been, today's been weird for me. It's been like a, off day. But I mean, I've been following it this morning and then gearing up this evening and stuff like that. Real quick though, we got Ash for 5 bones. Thank you very much, Ash. Says, thank you, Matt. I was thinking about this all day. Elseworlds is not a way to continue the Snyderverse. Like William says, it's temporary. That's it. Yeah. And again, I understand the design. I understand the cope. I do. I understand the cope. And I'm going to have to, like, I don't want to be a dick about it, but like, when we are in these positions, when you have to look at things through brand synergy, through budgets, through the unification process, even the reformation process of trying to, bring these properties together, like they have to figure out a way to try to bring, Shazam, the Flash, really Aquaman and Blue Beetle into this new world, because they got to figure out a way to like keep those characters potentially. Now, did you hear when they were talking about the characters of like the actors of Gal and Jason and Ezra and Zachary Levi about coming back, right? A lot of people are misinterpreting, I believe, what's being said on that. One of the things that, that they've been trying to say is like, oh, the door is open for them to come back into these roles down the road, meaning Gal Gadot is still going to be Wonder Woman. Notice how Wonder Woman 3 wasn't on that slate at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Notice how Wonder Woman wasn't really talked about at all, even though you've got that Themyscira show, right? That's like Game of Thrones and shit. Will she make an appearance there? I don't believe Gal's coming back. I think her Wonder Woman cameo, maybe the Flash cameo is going to be it. That's going to be out. And the reason why they're not saying that now is it's stupid of them. It's really stupid of them to come out and go, hey, we're firing everybody. Right? We're recasting these roles. But when you've got James Gunn saying The Flash, which comes out in just a couple months, is going to reset the DCU, that means getting rid of the E, right? Dropping that extended and just going right into universe, right? Which means cumulative, collective, concise. You gotta say like big MBA words, right? But it's true. They're not going to fire everybody. They're not going to announce it right now. But, I mean, what do you think, Anna?
I think it depends. I mean, a lot of people come to this conclusion, but it's going to depend on the performance of these films if certain people stick around. I get why they're saying this about, like, The Flash, Shazam, and Aquaman, I suppose, because, those movies aren't out yet. But I don't understand why they aren't just coming out and saying whether or not Gal Gadot's... And I don't think that she's going to be staying in the role. But I don't understand why they're being hesitant about that, because there's no Wonder Woman film like expected to release anytime soon. It's just a Flash cameo that I believe that she's slated for. So yeah, I'm kind of curious about that whole Wonder Woman thing. But for the other three, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Spherical Man here says, but this is the full chapter slate. That's true.
True.
That's true. And it makes sense why they probably would. They might be working on. I think what we have to really take into account here is also a wait and see approach. All right. Like a lot of this is a wait and see type stuff. I mean, this is a slate they're working on. This is what they're actively developing. If like the first movie bombs, then that's going to be a problem. But their first movie is Superman Legacy. That's the first movie. So next year, 2024, we've got Creature Commandos and we've got Waller. And those are what's coming out. I mean, those could even be coming out this year. I don't even know. Right. Those could be coming out this year.
I feel that's unlikely, but possible.
Yeah, I mean, well, Waller, if they start shooting, it depends. They start shooting it now, but if they want to get a Superman Legacy movie off the ground that Gunn is writing and most likely directing, that's going to take some time to get going, and they're going to need to start. Remember they started filming the Suicide Squad in 2019 and it didn't drop until 2021, mostly because of the pandemic, but still.
True. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, there's going to be that. Yeah, Rational here says, Gunn said Blue Beetle starts out the DCU. I mean, he's going to kick off. Yeah, that's kicking it off.
He didn't explicitly say that. I don't feel, well, I mean, it was.
Well, he said that it's like, it's like the movie that's going to be, because it's the one that has no previous connection to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could have been slotted anywhere.
Yeah, so let me see if there's also some, okay, there's more to this article too. Okay. So to come up with an overall direction of the slate, Gunn assembled a group of writers consisting of friends and storytellers that he admired. Among them is the Martian scribe Drew Goddard, who also wrote one of my all-time favorite movies, Cloverfield. And then also was the one who created the Daredevil show, and he wrote most of the episodes of the first season. But then he ended up leaving it. But his vibe is all over that season. You've got the Flash writer, Christina Hodson, which just bothers me to no end. Moon Knight head writer, Jeremy Slater, Watchmen writer, Crystal Henry, and famed comic book scribe, Tom King. Now, Tom King was working heavily with Ava DuVernay in order to work on the New Gods. And before that, they worked on that for a while, going through, I think, 5 drafts of the script before that was canned. So it's possible that some remnants of that could be coming on in. And if that's the case, then you know what? Hey, listen, some people who are really wanting to see Darkseid might actually start getting a taste of Darkseid a little bit sooner than you think.
Yeah, maybe.
It's going to, like, eventually the Justice League will fight Darkseid. It's going to take a little bit of time to get there. And that's okay. They have to take their time. They have to take their time. If they don't do that, they're going to run into the same problem as before. And exactly. I really feel that James Gunn understands this, and I think he's probably had to like reiterate that point to Zaslav quite a few times. Nerdy Mastermind here asks, "What's wrong with Christina Hodson?" Oh, where do I? Bumblebee and Birds of Prey were terribly written films. The Bumblebee was god awful. It was god awful. In regards to its story, I liked Haley Steinfeld. I liked Bumblebee. John Cena was not, his character was bad in that movie. And
I feel like Birds of Prey is definitely the worst between those two films, though.
I mean, like, I would watch Birds of Prey 2 again for like the action I enjoyed, as well as Ewan McGregor I really liked. So sure, I liked Ewan McGregor's performance. I thought it was over the top and it was just great. So, you know, I'm not saying these movies are like, I'm not saying the movies are bad. I'm saying like they just were not well written. You know, and that does, again, to be fair, movies do get rewritten while they're being shot in many instances. Like they've got, like, the production team will go in, they will build the sets, right? They will build up like the key elements of the film. And then like the crew will also, like, the cast will, like, you know, they do ad libs, right? They do improv. But they have a general start and stop point. They know what they're trying to get to, but they'll change certain things here. They'll change certain things there. They'll change the dialogue. They'll change the tone of a scene. And they might add one thing or take a couple things away here or there, but really it's like the core bones of the story doesn't get changed, but it's just like the little things in between. And so when I'm talking about fucking Bumblebee, it's like the Decepticons were terrible. It was like just the characterizations were not good. I just didn't think it was well written. And then, you know, fucking Birds of Prey, that goddamn egg sandwich scene. I fucking hate that. I hate that egg sandwich scene.
There was everything wrong with films around that time, in my opinion, just in like one little box.
It kind of was. Yeah. Kathy Ann, I don't think was the right person to direct that. But I will say this. I really appreciated the use of color. I liked her palette quite a bit. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But again, the problem with Birds of Prey also is like the title, the marketing. They couldn't market that movie to save their fucking life. Is it Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn? Is it just Birds of Prey, or is it Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, which is what they tried to market it as right before the pandemic.
But Harley's such an icon. She should be like making like blockbuster fucking films. Like there's no excuse for the mishandling of her character overall.
Yeah. Well, Enterprising here also brings up, didn't Christina Hodson write the script for The Flash? Yes. And I know they're saying that The Flash is shaping up to be one of the best superhero movies of all time, but I think that has more to do with the director and being able to rework the dialogue and the elements that we've seen, right? Like they might have a good bare bones story, but we'll have to wait and see how it changes on that one there. But anyway, you know, there's all that stuff, right? Okay. Let's see. Relicus here says Bumblebee is one of the dullest Autobots. It's annoying he gets so much focus. It's because they could sell toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan here says filmmaking, you just make it up as you go, Jack Nicholson. That's actually really true.
I mean, literally it is.
Cam here says Bumblebee was better than any of the Bay films. That's a fucking lie. Yeah, you can argue a couple of the Bay movies, sure, right? I would give you 2, 4, and 5. 1 was legitimately fun, like Pound Sand. And I enjoyed the hell out of number 3 because it went dark. Terminator, The Dark of the Moon went dark. Lived up to the name. They were vaporizing citizens en masse in fucking Chicago.
The first one's okay. I don't like any of
The first one is, oh my God. The first movie is like the fucking pinnacle of Michael Bay filmmaking up to that point. Like, no,
that's not saying much to me.
Bullshit.
Honestly.
No, bullshit. Go back, watch fucking Bad Boys. Fucking The Rock. What came out before, like, you know, I mean, even Pearl Harbor, like, you know, Bad Boys 2. He did The Island came out even before that one. The shots that Michael Bay is known for, right? Like, you know, those were all in his signature. Every one of his signature shots was in fucking in Transformers.
I wasn't a fan of Pearl Harbor, honestly.
It was, you know.
You heard it here first. Matt likes Pearl Harbor.
I've only seen it one time. It's not my favorite Michael Bay. My favorite Michael Bay movie is actually The Island. The Island and The Rock are top contenders for me. I love. Have you ever watched The Island with Ewan McGregor and
No,
Scarlett Johansson? Solid fucking movie, dude. Solid fucking movie. Like,
I have heard
really
good things
good
about that movie before. I've heard people talk about it quite a few times, but I've never seen it. So yeah, maybe I'll check it out.
Oh right. Well, oh yeah. And Michael Bay. It's right. Michael Bay also did Armageddon. I totally forgot about that. Like, I totally forgot that Michael Bay did Armageddon. And then H-Bards here says Pearl Harbor is shit, so historically inaccurate. But dude, he did Armageddon. Remember that Ben Affleck bit on Armageddon, where, you know, it's like a bunch of salt of the earth drillers are gonna go up to break up a fucking asteroid.
Yeah, salt miners.
And then Ben Affleck starts calling it out, and Michael Bay's like, "Shut the fuck up, man! It's just a movie."
Like, salt miners, dude.
I'm just saying, there's
basically that. YouTube content creators.
Spherical Manor says Michael Bay stole the plot from Clonus to Parts Horror for The Island. I don't think he stole the plot. He was brought in. He didn't write the movie. He didn't write the movie. Now, Enterprising here says many issue with Bumblebee my issue with Bumblebee is that it's never allowed to evolve past Human Bodyguard and Iron Giant comedy. You know what? That's a fair point.
That's a good comparison.
I mean, it is kind of like E.T., a little bit like E.T., but not as good. Didn't have the heart and soul, like all the heart and soul. You know, Haley Steinfeld did great, but she's no Henry Thomas. And there was no fucking Drew Barrymore, man. They were oil drillers. Not salt miners. They were oil drillers. Let's see. Luke Stoner says Pearl Harbor is his worst movie, but I actually enjoy all of his other movies. I think Pearl Harbor, when we get to the Pearl Harbor action scenes, those are cool.
That was my introduction to Michael Bay, so maybe I didn't get
Oh, really? Yeah, okay. I remember when that released on VHS, they had it on 2 cassettes. That's how long that fucking movie is. Jeez. I haven't watched it since like 2000 when I saw it in theaters. It's been like 23 years.
You should probably keep it that way.
2001. I think I saw it in 2001. Yeah, I might need to go on and do like a Michael Bay thing for Patio commentary. I just don't want to get to 6 Underground because that's like my least favorite of his movies.
Damn.
6 Underground was not good. It was just the script. It was a script for me. That was the biggest problem. It was too cynical. Anyway, we're way off point here. We did get Garrick for $5. Thank you, buddy. He says Team America. Oh, Team America made fun of Pearl Harbor. Yeah, Pearl Harbor sucks. Yeah, I know. What's the song? I need you like Michael Bay needed. Oh, wait. I need you more than Michael Bay needed a script when he made Pearl Harbor. I need you like Cuba Gooding needed a bigger part and way better than that. Like, you know, it's like the all I can think about is your smile and that shitty movie too, because Pearl Harbor sucks. But I need you.
How do you remember that much?
Dude, are you fucking kidding me? You know how many times I've listened to the goddamn Team America soundtrack.
You just went at it. Like,
I did. I love that song, man. It's like no, I got it wrong. I miss you more than Michael Bay missed the mark when he made Pearl Harbor. Yeah, that's the line, right? Or what about like, and that's the song that they sing when they're having sex. That's the sex scene song.
Jesus
that's
Christ,
the slow. That's the fucking slow song they sing when the puppets are having sex, right? Or what about like, freedom costs $1.05? I mean, like even the other day, like I was just kind of doing dishes and I just started going like, I'm so lonely, so lonely, so lonely and sad we alone. No one, just me only, sitting on my little throne. I make a great plan. And I whatever and shit, man. You know the soundtrack, right?
Yeah.
Soundtrack is fucking fantastic. Anyway, thank you for that. I see now you got me talking about goddamn Pearl Harbor, man. Fucking, or Team America,
Wow.
which I love.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ash is here. Ash has been a matinee member for 14 months. Thank you, Ash. Says Gunn could bring back Ava and revive the New Gods. Gunn could. Anyway, I'm not singing. I'm done singing. Yeah, freedom ain't free. Everyone has AIDS. AIDS. Everyone has AIDS.
Everyone knows that song. Like literally everybody knows that song and has AIDS.
It took from me my best friend, my only true pal. Also, screw you, Alec Baldwin is a good one too. Yeah, just everyone has AIDS. Dude, I want Trey Parker and Matt Stone to like make more movies. I love Team America, man. Team America is so fucking good.
Clone High is coming back, man.
Isn't that how's the Silent Hill episode coming along? It's not till next week. I've done my research on it. I gotta watch the movie. I was watching I got so distracted today that I finally started watching the Book of Eli, because I was like, I want to get the episodes done early so I could put them out for the patrons. And I totally got sidetracked this week. So I gotta focus on getting all the episodes watched and recorded. So anyway, will I bring up the Gizmodo article? Yeah, I've got it up here too.
Gizmodo.
Yeah, fucking I hate Gawker, man. I know they're not the Gawker anymore. Like, I know Nick Denton is gone, but you know what? My old Gamergate fucking roots run deep on some of that shit. Right? Like, I will never appreciate anything that's come out of Gawker ever.
So wait, it's like changed the name of the website? What is that what happened?
Oh no, dude, they sold off. Like, they lost the Hulk Hogan. Originally they lost the Hulk Hogan lawsuit. Nick Denton had to sell Gawker. They sold it to like the parent company of Univision or some shit, or maybe they sold it to Univision. And then Gawker, the brand was bad. And so like I think old employees of Gawker like got the money together to buy the branding from Univision. I got to look into it again. It's been a long time. But anyway, all right, so let's find out more here. All right. Before audiences get to those films in series, however, there is a matter of this year's crop of films: Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman. Gunn and Safran are high on the quartet made under the previous film regime and the aegis of DC Films, run by former head Hamada. Gunn calls The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti, probably the greatest superhero movies ever made, or one of the greatest ever made. I mean, he's got to hype it up. They got to hype it up, right?
Dude, I get it. Like that's been said about like almost every DC movie during the marketing has been called the best DC movie since The Dark Knight in the marketing. So I get it, but like, come on, that's a little bit too. I feel like that like it gets to a point where some people will kind of be like, "Hey, that just sounds like bullshit," you know? Like you don't want to get unrealistic expectations for a film. Like you can say, "Oh, this is great. We're really proud of it. You know, it's amazing." You can get across like your enthusiasm for a film without saying it's literally the best comic book film ever made ever.
Well, he's saying it's probably one of the greatest, right?
All right, that's a little bit. There's a
that's
little bit
a little
more
different. There's
there.
a little wiggle room there. There's a
there's a little bit more nuance.
Like, I mean, you could be like, I thought it was good. I mean, the general audience just thought it was shit, but I thought it was good.
Wow.
Command Unit here for 5. Thank you. Says the only one I enjoyed is Transformers 2. The only Transformer movie you liked was the number
was the
2.
Worst one?
I mean, no, like, dude. I mean, it's more watchable, I think, than like 5. 4 is
I've never
pretty
seen
bad.
5. I gave up after.
It's yeah. But Transformers 2 has got a railgun in it. So I remember going to the midnight show of that, and when it got to the final battle scene and the US Navy shows up and they've got a ship outfitted with a railgun, and like it just shows it goes and it fires a shot. I literally sat up in my seat and just went, they've got a fucking railgun. And like no, like I think my girlfriend, because we had just started dating a few months prior to that movie coming out, and she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Nothing," but like they got a rail gun. I had Quake 2 flashbacks, man.
Damn,
anyway, and robot balls. VC here says, I didn't mind 2 at the time. The more you watch it, the less bad it gets. We had it at the drive-in, so I watched it a lot. So there's that.
I don't know, man. Robots pissing is never gonna rub off on
Yeah,
me.
but to be fair, that movie did give us one of the greatest John Campea quotes of all time. So, I mean, it's not all bad. Anyway, now he also said that the 4 leads of those films could potentially return to their roles in DCU projects down the line, saying there's nothing that prohibits that from happening. And that's, again, Zachary Levi, Ezra Miller, whoever the guy in Blue Beetle is, Zolo something or another, and then of course Jason Momoa. But we all know Momoa is gonna be going to Lobo most likely.
Lobo,
yeah. Now talking about Ezra here, Safran said that the executives remained hopeful Miller is on the path to betterment. Ezra is completely committed to their recovery. We are fully supportive of that journey they are on right now. When the time is right, when they are ready to have that discussion, we will all figure out what's the best path forward. But right now, they are completely focused on their recovery. And in our conversation with them in the last couple of months, it feels like they are making enormous progress. And that's actually a really solid sign, by the way, right? When you've got the instead of like, because, you know, Hollywood, you know, we tend to, when actors fall off the wagon, if you will, especially in the way that Ezra Miller did, which was like not super crazy, but it was like disturbing, right? It was disturbing. You know, that's what I'm talking about here. It's like but at least at this particular point, they're like, all right, like, let's do this. And you know, let's try to get them in recovery and get them taken care of and things like that. And that's a good thing. That's a really, really, really good thing. So, all right. So at least we know that they're working on that with Ezra.
I just don't care for them in the role, honestly. Like, regardless of what you think of, like, you know, their real life issues and shit like that, I just don't care for them in the role. You know, they just don't seem to work very well for me. I don't think they were that great of a casting for Barry Allen, and I'd honestly rather see a Wally West Flash in this newer universe where there seems to have some younger heroes. So,
well, yeah. it's all about like where they can go with it, to be fair. So I think I will say this, like, I enjoyed Ezra in the Snyder Cut and I enjoyed Ezra in Peacemaker. So I'm on that front. I am excited to see what Ezra can bring to the table in regards to this movie, playing 2 roles or 3.
I think, yeah, maybe even like 4 apparently, but yeah, I think that's going to be a real challenge because, like, in a lot of people's minds, the biggest barrier to entry for watching this movie is already Ezra Miller. So, like, the fact that Ezra Miller could be playing multiple roles within the film, I mean, we know for sure more than one at least.
Yeah, and but again, it's like the movie, you know, if Ezra is coming out and saying some stuff like, hey, like, I've made mistakes and shit, and I'm getting better, it's like, you know, offering them the opportunity to have that specific the moment of recovery, I think is okay. I think that's okay. You know. But I mean, even H. Bartzer says, yeah, one of Zach's worst castings is Ezra. I liked Ezra. I don't.
It's funny because I think that the two weakest casting that Zack Snyder had a part in are the only two that they're considering, like, actually keeping around. It seems like, which is Gal Gadot and Ezra Miller. I never cared for either of them in the role, honestly. Like Gal Gadot,
well, you are very much in the minority on Gal. That is very true. You are very much in the minority.
Because people haven't had anything better. She's the only live action Wonder Woman that we've gotten since Linda Carter. Like, honestly, like, nothing against her, like, personally, but she's a wooden actor. Like, genuinely, I've never been blown away or even, like, satisfied, frankly, by her acting performance in a DC film. I'm just being honest. Like, same thing with Ezra Miller. It has nothing to do with them as a person. It's just like I do not see them in the role, and I think that they could get someone better. You know, that's all that it boils down to.
We'll have to wait and see on this one. Yeah, Mage here says, isn't Ben Affleck talking with Gunn and Safran and Helmet Project? I've seen some people talk about Affleck potentially doing the Batman Brave and the Bold movie, which I think would be very interesting. However, that might be a little bit kind of salt on the wound. You know, like, you lost your Batman movie, you kind of came back, it kind of didn't fizzled out. Do you want to direct another Batman movie? I mean, he might want to. It's just a career challenge, but at the same time, Zachary here says, seeing as the first chapter of the DCU is called Gods and Monsters, I'm assuming we'll be getting new gods from New Genesis and Apocalypse. Would you agree? I think the gods is going to be Superman, Supergirl, and some of those kind of characters, like the Lanterns, I think are going to kind of also be talked to on that particular front.
Correct.
Gods meaning protectors.
It's going to be about, like, the gods among us.
Yeah, gods among us, protectors, things like that. And the monsters are going to be like the creature commandos and Swamp Thing. Like, in those,
more
like,
of
that's
the mysterious aspect.
Yeah, you've got like your super high, I don't want to say high level, but like your cosmic kind of stuff.
Kind of like Universal Monster.
Yeah, and then you're in this weird kind of, like, it goes from like one extreme to another, so to speak. Yeah. And I think that the just the juxtaposition between the two is fascinating. So I'm kind of curious to see more.
It's a good idea, I think.
Yeah. Just real quick, hold on here. Gailey, it says, get to my earlier super chat, which I scrolled all the way back to the beginning and I missed. I'm sorry. But he says here, Sub Jarbo had a truly awful day, but I was excited by the DC news. Happy to watch the show. Thank you very much, Gailey. I appreciate that. Non-Kino. Hope you're having a better day. Sorry you had a shitty one. That gets the, I get it. We all have bad days. Garrick for 2 says Transformers 2 also had mud flap and skids. Yes, they did. I never hated mud flap and skids, to be fair. I thought it was pretty funny. So there you go. All right, let's get back into this one. All right, so the duo also discussed their casting, their approach to casting writ large, whether it was returning or new actors. The TV series will look to cast actors who will also play their parts in the big screen, just as John Cena played the violent figure in Peacemaker in Suicide Squad and then the Peacemaker series. Anyone cast as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in Lanterns, for example, will then cross over into films, as it should be. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about unification. You're not going to get a fucking Green Lantern Elseworld story. It's not going to happen.
I'm calling it here and now, man. I think Lanterns is going to be huge.
He compared it to True Detective, and I'm like season 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
If it's season 1, I'm already erect. If it's season 2, if it's season 3, yeah,
half
okay.
chub,
I got 3/4 chub for season 3. Season 2 is it's enough to get me there. All right. But but I'm not the happiest about it.
Lanterns, dude. No. I've been a huge Green Lantern stan since I was a little goddamn kid. I've wanted proper representation for Green Lantern live action since I was a kid. And I remember almost a decade ago now, or it might have even been a decade ago when the original DC slate came out for the DCEU. The one with the E and not just the U. I remember, we were supposed to get a Green Lantern film in 2020. And, that didn't happen. That sure
well,
didn't happen.
that's
It evolved into this though, right? Like this has been a continued evolution, I believe, of the same concept. That's
well, yeah. They were supposed to. They scrapped. They scrapped everything with Greg Berlanti and that show.
okay.
So I feel like that's kind of the other side of that is like we've got to realize and recognize that these things are just like, anything before is gone. They even said that Superman and Lois has got maybe another season or two, most likely only one season.
I wonder. I wonder if when Deadpool 4 comes out, they're gonna make fun of the Lantern show.
I don't think so. I don't
think so?
I don't think that they are.
I could see that being a joke, honestly.
Yeah, I could see that kind of being whatever with that, but they're going to kind of do their own thing. It's going to be, I think they're going to leave it alone. Anyway,
okay.
Garrick for 5, thank you, says, from what you've seen, who has done the biggest coping so far of the DC slate? Surprisingly, I think probably some of the biggest coping I've seen has come out of people who are kind of pro this thing, right? Like I'll say, like Enosh was fighting with RJ earlier on Max's stream, and and that was kind of coping on it as well a little bit. But the people that are like, who was I looking at? Like it was like the Bat Channel, and they were like, oh, it just looks like Marvel, and you got Mikey Sutton in the chat, like fucking Wormtail and goddamn fucking Harry Potter. It's like, oh, it's all it's like, gun like burnout or whatever, or like too much James Gunn, because they're upset that James Gunn is writing this stuff. Like, yeah, the guy's movies have done very well. His writing is universally praised. He's got really good world building skills, and he knows how to get to the core crux of who these characters are and expose not only their flaws, but their humanity, while usually doing it in a very approachable way. God forbid he at least starts to help build out his writing, builds out this new world. God fucking forbid. It's just people who don't understand the industry that are just like, why isn't it Chris Terrio writing another fucking Superman movie, man? That's what it is. Anyway, sorry. Real quick here. Static Path here says Still Abdul. I haven't seen Still Abdul's stream. I don't know what he said. So if you guys got a funny thing on that, let me know. Rational here for 5, thank you, says Berlanti-verse fans and Snyderverse fans need to understand that WBD doesn't have the money to give everyone and their grandmother a DC Elseworlds universe. That's true. Now, is one of the problems, though, that comes out of the Snyderverse fans specifically goes all the way back to the pre-hype for the Snyder Cut. When you had Lightcast and you had the Cultured Nerd, and they're up there. I mean, the shit that they fucking said, guys, was just insane. Like at one point, they were talking about, I think Taylor Murphy, Cultured Nerd, was talking about like how everyone is going to get what they want. Like everyone's going to get their Batman. Everyone's going to get the Superman that they want. There's going to be all of these multiple characters, of repeating characters, because you have the multiverse. And I'm just like, there's just not enough money for these fucking shows, man.
Yeah, if the fans were showing up to support it, then it could happen. But unfortunately, like even if the audience was there, I'm not sure if there would be enough money. But no,
you can't. This isn't like, dude. This is the problem with comic book fans thinking that like movies are not like a multi-year process. Because a comic book, generally what you have, like your writer, you have your artist, your colorist, your inker. I don't know.
There's a lot that goes into it.
There's a team. Much. There's a team, but it's not like 15,000 fucking people.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It doesn't take 15,000 people to write a Superman comic. And then it's like, yeah, in your mind's eye, you're seeing it one way. And then you're like, oh, it'd be really cool to see this transferred to live action, man. But that takes fucking forever. And it's like, again, talk about the problem then is when you're talking about consistency with the characters, because that's a big factor. You got to be consistent. Well, which run are you pulling from? Right. So it's like in the Woman of Tomorrow, that version of Supergirl that's like older and jaded because of her upbringing. James Gunn wants to go into that and find a way to pull her. At that point, the cynical, angry character is kind of an underdog. Right. You can find a way to crack through that shell to bring out their inner light. And that's why he's choosing to go down that path, because he wants to get the character to the place they need to be by starting off with them dealing with trauma. Like, that's part of the storytelling journey. You know, for some reason, like, there's a lot of people that just like, which run do you want of fucking Superman? I can't even tell you any of the names of any of the right. I don't even care. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, which run is going to make you happy? You're probably not going to fucking get it. So, like, look at what they're doing and try to find solace in that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there's like a weird sense of entitlement over some comic fans on that front. And it's all like, welcome to the world of adaptations.
Oh yeah, there's been so many different comic runs which are adaptations within themselves. Like when someone says that something is like, oh, true to the comics or it's comic accurate, what they really mean is like it's accurate to like a certain storyline or something like that. But there's the status quo, even though in a lot of ways it remains the same. Like the writing staff and the inkers and all the colorists and everyone who's part of comic books, like the staff is always changing out. There's always new visions for the character and new ways in which things change and alter. And that's all that live action really is. It's just another adaptation, except using another medium. And then it's more complicated in that way because films are more complicated than comic books.
Yeah.
But,
well, the thing with that, again, the way that I look at it is like, I know Mo here is saying like, don't talk like you know comics, but I know fucking movies. All right. And we're talking about movies. This is the thing. This is what I'm talking about when I say, what fucking run do you want? What artist do you want? What storyline do you want? What writer do you want? What fucking age do you want? You know, there's so many variations to choose from. They've got to pick one and they got to fucking stick with it. So that's the whole fucking point. Is, you know, you can sit there and say, don't talk like you know comics. Yeah, I don't know comics, but I know fucking movies.
I'll be right back, man.
All right, I know them real fucking well. You know? Okay, Mo here says, I don't care, just make it good. See, there we go. There we go. You don't care, just make it good. What is good? What is good? That becomes the ultimate question. Because when you're working on a movie, you go through multiple revisions, right? You do at least 3 to 5 different drafts of the first script. Get that done. Then that goes to a shooting script. You get your production team. They design the film. They go out, you cast it, you get your director, you get your producers, everything else. You go to shoot the movie. The movie changes as you shoot it. The movie changes and alters from its mind's eye from the creator to through the lens of the director. And then you shoot a bunch of stuff. You shoot coverage, you shoot alternate scenes, alternate takes, different angles. You try some different things. You try to find a way to cobble it all together. Then you take it to the editing bay. Well, shit. Now you've got all of these different options to choose from in order to try to cobble together the best possible outcome that conveys the tone and the idea and the messaging of the story that you were brought in to tell. But what if you don't have everything? What if you miss something? What if something doesn't work? What if it looked good while you were shooting it, but it just simply doesn't fit where you want it to go now? Well, then you get everybody back together, you go back out and you reshoot some shit, because that is how movies are made. So there's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit. So when you say just make it good, that there's no critical thought that goes into that, Mo. There's no critical thought that goes into any of that. It's literally you just saying, I don't care, just give me something good that I like. And you're not even prompting it with anything that would make you more acceptable to this particular iteration of this character. And Adam Burke underneath you says it right. Most fans don't know how filmmaking works. That's true. Let's see. Spherical Man here says, I bet Matt would want the director of Terrifier to direct Swamp Thing. I'll tell you that. I like Damien Leone. I do. I think to kind of go into the Terrifier sort of thing, right? The mythos expansion, you could call it like the mythological ideas that were exposed, or I should say the metaphysical concepts that were pretty heavy in Terrifier 2. And the way that Damien Leone wrote that and executed that, a little bit long in the tooth. is interesting. And I wouldn't mind seeing his take on a story like this, to be fair. I really do. I really do. So there's that. Mad Queen Danny here says, good is better than She-Hulk. Dude, even my girlfriend mentioned She-Hulk in a conversation the other day. She was like, man, She-Hulk was really good. So there we go. Garrick here says, Syl did a DC Slate review with Mikey Sutton. Oh my God. How bad? How bad? How bad? Mage asking, do you think Scott Derrickson will join Gunn? I don't know, man. I think, honestly, I think after Doctor Strange and just going off to go do The Black Phone, which was an amazing movie, I think he's going to stay in his own lane. So, Vin Frost here says, the Supergirl Wonder Woman or Woman of Tomorrow comic is really good. I'm surprised they're going down that route for her character. It's contemporary. I think it's a big factor. It's a contemporary story. So there's that. And yeah, Keji, I agree. I love She-Hulk all the way through. Harold here says, I was really excited for the slate, and then I saw who was in the writer's room, and I was kind of bummed, still excited, just let's hope it all works out. I mean, yeah, I get you, man. I get you. I understand that entirely. All right, let's keep going back with this one here. So he says that we don't want the series to feel in any way like Stepchildren or Lesser Than. It's just another way to tell a story. They like being able to spend 8 hours digging deep into certain characters, which is, again, that works out well. And then they took on they took on the touchy subject of Henry Cavill to return as Superman in a cameo in last year's Black Adam, but who in the end will not return as Superman, much to the chagrin of a vocal fan base. He says here, we didn't fire Henry. Henry was never cast. For me, it's about who do I want to cast as Superman? Who do the filmmakers we have want to cast? And for me, for this story, it isn't Henry. And he added, I like Henry. He's a great guy. I think he's getting dicked around by a lot of people, including the former regime at this company. But this Superman is not Henry for a number of reasons. And that's a factor. People out there are pissed off. I saw so many people today like, Henry Cavill's my Superman. Like, no, he's not. I mean, he might be. He was for a long time. All right. He was very much for a long time your Superman. And then, of course, Warner Brothers didn't know how to properly handle that. So they end up moving on. And that's kind of how these things go. That's kind of how these things operate. It's unfortunate. And I'm sorry people out there are upset. But you cannot sit there and go, you know, like he got dicked around. And he got dicked around by Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca, who made a call, who went against Walter Hamada, who had a better understanding of it because Toby Emmerich pulled the plug in 2018. And then The Rock, who flexed his muscles, and ultimately the movie failed to perform in the way that they wanted it to. I think, again, if the movie would have come out in July as it was originally intended, it probably would have done a lot better. But the caveat to that is that there would not have been a Henry Cavill Superman cameo. So it's a toughie, but that's business, and the business chose to go a different direction. So, you know, don't be mad at James Gunn because it's not his fault. I'm sorry. I know that might anger and trigger a couple of you out there, but it's not his fault. They made a choice, and their choice is something that is going to, well, good or bad, it's their choice. So we'll see where they go. We'll see where they go. Is one of those vocal people Angry Joe? Yeah, I know. H. Bart's here says Henry's agent Danny Garcia fucked his career badly. Danny, just to confirm, Danny Garcia was like his manager, not his agent, and apparently no longer they are working together. So that's my understanding here. And then after that, they talk a bit more about the Zachary Levi bullshit. They brought up the Ta-Nehisi Coates is going to be still doing that movie. I can't tell you a single person really excited for the Black Superman project. That being said, if it's interesting, I'll still see it. I mean, I'm still going to see all of these things. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But I mean, I think I don't see it happening, to be fair. Like I don't, unless it's, you know, it's been in development for so long. J.J. Abrams' contract with WBD is almost over for that production deal. It, you know, unless they re-upped it. I don't know if they did. I don't know if they will after the whole Westworld situation. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that, man. That's going to be nutty, dog. It's going to be nutty as fuck to see what they do with that shit. But he says here that, the bar is going to be set very high for projects to be outside the DCU, the Elseworld projects. But every now and then there will be something that lives up to that. And again, that's just every now and then, maybe. But again, that's just saying that it's a possibility, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Once they get this machine going, and the machine is, rah rah shish kumbah, all that kind of stuff. I think it's really going to be fascinating to see where things potentially go. So it is going to be, again, something there. All right. I don't need to go through all the rest of this stuff because we've already kind of gone. Let's take a look here at the Gizmodo article because it get into some burning questions answered. Man Milk here says, I want to see the Black Superman movie. Well, good. I hope it's good. Nerdy Mastermind here says Coates is an amazing writer. That's where my excitement comes from. Yeah, no, definitely. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. If it even happens, right? It's just, but I don't think there's any real excitement for that, if I'm being honest with you guys. From the general conversation for people, but then, it could be anything. It can be anything. All right. So we know that IO9 was there at the event. This is what they say. Asking James, why did you want to do this? Gunn here says, I wanted to take care of these characters. And we all know it's been a fucked up road for many of them in the past few years, and things haven't been together. And I really thought it is a challenge, but I think it's a possibility to create something really wonderful with these characters. I can't go into politics. I can't do anything with science. So the only thing I can do for this planet is create stories about love. And that's what I think we can do over the next 8 to 10 years. Wow. That's actually really, that's a really salient statement right there. I can't do politics. I can't do science, but I can do love. That's actually really sweet. That's actually really sweet. I've been thinking, by the way, a lot about the Last of Us episode all day today. All day today it's been on my mind. It's so sweet. It's so sad, but it's so sweet. We'll have to, anyway. So what exactly is DC Studios? Peter Safran here says that DC Studios is just a standalone studio production entity. And it's unprecedented because it's the first time ever that all film, all television, live action, animation, and gaming is all centralized under one creative vision. So that was a big deal for Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav, was the idea of creating a standalone entity where there could be a unified creative vision. There's that word again. And everything centralized under James and myself. It's that creative unified vision. Now, what are your thoughts on the DC movies before you came on board? Gunn says, the history has been shit. It's been a real fucked up journey for DC. I think there was basically no one minding the mint, and they were just giving the IP to any creatives that, smiled at whoever was in charge. The Rock. Anyway. And so somebody could always go over their head and do whatever they wanted. That is definitely aimed at The Rock. That's definitely aimed at, because you got to understand, Gunn and Safran are solid pals with Hamada, right? Solid pals with Hamada. And The Rock went over his head to Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca and got the Superman cameo greenlit. So that dude, he's throwing some serious shade at The Rock. Holy shit. All right. And we had the DCEU, which then became the Joss Whedon Justice League, but it also became the Snyderverse, which became this. And we have Wonder Woman, and then we have Wonder Woman 1984, which doesn't even match what happened in Wonder Woman 1. Oh my, wow, holy shit. And then we have the Arrowverse, and even us coming in with the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. And then all of a sudden, Batmite is a real guy. Dropping that Batmite reference there. But, oh, dude, we have Wonder Woman, and then we have Wonder Woman 1984, which doesn't even match what happened in Wonder Woman 1. Oh, that is calling out. Oh, that's calling out some shade right there, dude. That is the shade. That he's just tossing a little bit of that. It's sexy, guys. It's fucking sexy. I like it. I like it quite a bit, actually. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be live for about maybe another 30 minutes or so. As we get through this, I'm going to drop the link if you guys want to come on in and quickly give your thoughts on everything today. There's the link for that. If you want to pop in for a minute, give your thoughts, your grade, your score. Once I get through this article, we'll bring people in. So line up if you guys want to come on in. So, all right. And then yeah, bam right there. Okay. So, DC has 4 films scheduled for release in 2023. How do you fit those in? Gunn here says, I think that we've gotten lucky with the next 4 movies, frankly, because we have Shazam, which leads to Flash, which resets everything, and then goes into Blue Beetle, which is totally disconnected. He can totally be part of the DCU, and that goes into Aquaman, which leads into Superman, our first big project. So that if Aquaman leads into Superman, then they're going to announce the casting of Superman this year and probably shoot a cameo for the end of that movie. That's interesting. All right, when does the DCU canon start and will actors come back? Gunn here says, the one thing that we can promise is that everything from our first project, Creature Commandos, forward will be canon and will be connected. We're using some actors from the past. We're not using other actors from the past, but everything from that moment forward will be connected and consistent. Okay. Is this a multiverse? Saffron here says the DCU is a multiverse, but we're going to be focusing on one universe from that multiverse. And if something isn't DCU, we're going to make that very clear. So he's talking about Elseworlds, I think, right? So
it follows up on that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Every sentence about the Rock. What, dude? It's true. It's true. The Rock went over his fucking head, man. Like, that's fucking honestly. Dude, pull the fucking Rock's steroid ingested micro penis out your mouth and fucking listen. Anyway.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
all right.
man.
So anyway, so it says, how will it be clear what is and what isn't? Saffron here says so strictly adult fare like Todd Phillips' Joker or kids animation like Teen Titans Go, we're going to make it very clear that those are DC Elseworlds, just the same way you can do in the comics. Can you say what actors may or may not be returning? Gunn here says we've talked to Gal. She's up for doing stuff. We're not sure where we're going to go, where we're going to do with that or what we're going to do with that. All I can tell you right now is that Henry and Ben are not part of this universe. Now, at this point, Gunn and Saffron did say Affleck had spoken to them about this world and may try to direct something in the future. Also, obviously, Viola Davis would return as Amanda Waller and John Cena as Peacemaker. I mean, like, yeah, it sucks that Henry and Ben are out, but we already knew that was going to happen. Is Jason Momoa going to be playing Lobo? Gunn, Jason will not play 2 characters. Saffron, Jason always thought of Aquaman as a trilogy in his own mind, but he also loves Lobo. He's been very clear about that too. He's never going to play 2 characters, but we'll figure that out after Aquaman 2. All right. So
in other words, depends how much money it makes.
Well, what I think that means is like they understand that Aquaman, because I think Aqualad is in Aquaman 2, and if Aqualad's in Aquaman 2, then they could just move on from there. What happened with Henry Cavill? So Gunn here says it's important to say that Henry Cavill was not fired. Henry was just not hired to be Superman in Superman Legacy. There was never a deal for another movie. So, I mean, it is kind of leaving it a little open to interpretation, to be fair, in regards to, let's say, like, he wasn't hired to be Superman in this movie, but no, they want to make sure that there was never a deal for another movie. What about Keaton as Batman? Gunn says we are a multiverse still, but the main things that we're focusing on right now is creating the universe that people kind of put their feet into. And then out of that, if we want to have multiverse takes, we can, which I actually know one of the things we're working on is a multiverse tale. Okay. Do you have to make changes to the Flash to set all this up? He says we had input on it for sure, but there was nothing we had to do in order to set that up. Meaning the Flash was always going to be a reset, a reboot.
Yeah, probably since like 2016. It was always just a matter of what's it going to reboot into.
Yeah. And then also Gunn here says, can I also say that The Flash is fucking amazing? Like it's one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. Andy Muschietti did an amazing job, and I'm really excited for everybody to see it.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. Will Ezra be back as the Flash? We'll see what happens. Ezra's committed to recovery. We've already covered that. Where does the Suicide Squad fit in? Some things like a rough memory of what happens in the DCU, but once we hit Superman Legacy, anything can be changed. All right. And then also asking the big question, how is this different from the MCU? Gunn here says, I think that we have a lot of differences. I think one of the reasons why I love DC is it's really another universe. It's an alternate world, and Marvel generally, there's New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and then every place else in the world is a fictional universe for some reason. Here at DCU, we have Metropolis and Gotham and Themyscira and Atlantis and all sorts of other fictional universes. And this is the world that we're creating. We're coming into a world where superheroes exist and have existed for some time in one form or another, and that's the universe. And so we are telling a big, huge central story, except for I think we have a lot more planned out than Marvel from the beginning, because we've got a group of writers together to work out that story completely, but we're also creating a universe that is like Star Wars, where there are different times, different places, different things, and like Game of Thrones, where characters are a bit more morally complex. So, incest.
What?
I'm kidding.
Okay. Damn.
Who's helping you build the saga? Okay, we already know about the writers. DC has announced slates before. Why should fans trust you on this one? The biggest difference is I've done it. This is coming from Guns. So I started Guardians 1 with the story of what that trilogy was, where it started and where it ended. And that story is just the smaller version of what we're of doing this. I've been inside a company that did it very well, but it's very different than us. Marvel didn't have everything completely worked out ahead of time, but they did a lot of things really well, one of which is not giving up. That's the key. And I really love that about Kevin Feige and Lou D'Esposito and the whole gang. I've seen them turn bad movies into okay movies into good movies, and good movies into great movies, because they do not fucking stop. They give it whatever it needs to make it as good as it possibly can be until the 11th hour. And they'll be editing the day before the premiere. It's a lot, too much. Now, I really wonder what he means when they turn bad movies into okay movies. Like, can you give me an example on that one there? Captain Marvel? Anyway. Are you sticking to a specific order of release with these projects? Saffron here says many of the projects are already being worked on, but we're remaining flexible and we're going to adjust because we're never going to put a project into production before the script is right. So this is a general timeline, but there will be flexibility. Gunn says, and the announced slate is not the order of things happening necessarily. It's a very rough order. And also we are actually developing a few other things as well, but for one reason or another, we can't say them. All right. I guess it's, okay. There's a lot to this. Then there's people lining up to give their thoughts in the back end there. So, yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good that he's being pretty amazing and pretty blunt about this. You know what I mean?
Pretty transparent. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what we need. How does that flexibility work within a shared universe? Gunn says there are some things that are very much part of the central story. There are other things which are more self-inclusive stories, sort of like how Guardians has its own stories outside of the Marvel universe. They're all connected, but the things that are part of that central story are going to need to come out in order that we want them to. So we're just going to focus on things like that. And then Saffron here says there are certain tentpoles both on the film and the television side that are imperative to the storytelling, and those ones will make sure are released in order. And then Gunn also says, and that's why we're hiring writers and getting writers together for all that stuff now, so we can start developing the stuff that's going to be ready with plenty of time. That's good. So they understand that they need to put out a content machine, right? They need to get this production machine running, but they also want to give it enough time to get going and not rush things out the gate.
Hopefully, so they don't face the Marvel problem of pushing their CGI artists and stuff too far.
Well, that's not just Marvel. It's literally everybody at this point. But yeah, I get you. And even that Marvel thing was largely speculatory. It was like third-hand information. That article that came out recently in Vanity Fair was like, I heard from a friend of a friend.
I mean, you can just kind of see it with your eyes.
Well, there's a lot there's a lot that's gone on with that one. Yeah, there's a lot that's gone on with that. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Okay, guys. So, all right. I see everybody's back there. We'll get to them here in a sec, guys. Hold your horses. All right. So when it comes to talking about what's a show and what's a movie, they say it's all story-based. So, all right. There you go. It's like, if a story needs to be a TV show, be a TV show, movie, things like that.
Makes sense.
How are you deciding on what something will be rated? It all depends on the story. I mean, we're going to be giving every story what it deserves. Some things we know, Superman Legacy is definitely something that we would like to be PG-13. I'm going to make sure of that. Other things like the Waller TV show are a bit more mature. And we have other things that are a little more aimed for towards young women or kids that are still within this world that feeds on the back into the Supermans and the Braves and the Bolds that everyone gets. He says here, how many releases are you looking at per year? Probably 2 movies and 2 HBO Max series. So roughly 1 every 3 months, I would argue, like 1 a quarter. And that's actually that's a solid release model right there.
Yeah.
You know, that's not bad. That's the biggest problem Marvel had, was that they were like, oh shit.
Oversaturation, yeah.
Well, that was also in part due to the pandemic, which delayed them from a whole year. So like they cranked that crap out, and it ended up, I think it started off well, but then it just kind of had some problems. Now, are these 10 projects everything in chapter 1? He says we haven't announced everything in chapter 1. There's still some stuff that comes beyond this. So let's just say it's still too early to talk about that, but it becomes very clear what the story is. And Gunn says this is half of it. Okay.
Wow. And Gunn just comes out and says, hey, this is about half.
This is about half. I mean, that's a lot of content there. That's way more than the first phase of Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, that was definitely fucking different. So, apparently James Mangold just tweeted out an image of Swamp Thing. Here, I'll bring that up real quick. So, I mean, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's wrapping up Indiana Jones and they want to go into Swamp Thing, Mangold tackling that, he'd be very good for that. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Okay, so let me just go back to this article real quick here. Will these chapters end amid crossover events like Marvel? And Gunn here says everything is crossing over throughout. So that's good. That's good that they're going to have a lot of it weave in. Now, they were going to do that originally with the Arrowverse. They had a couple actors signed to overall contracts to weave them in and out of the different shows that are being shot. It was like Captain Cold and John Barrowman, whatever. I forget which character he played, but it ultimately never came through. But they were trying to do that. They were trying to build out this universe of all these actors that could just kind of come in between, like wherever you need them to keep popping up to flesh out the world. That's interesting if they can do that in this particular case as well, but it's going to require a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So
which I'm not sure that Warner Brothers has right now.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're going to bring on outside partners, but they definitely are going to try smaller things to fill the coffers, good projects, get that money rolling on in, and then go from there. All right. So they ask, how much do you have planned out? He says, we're not making it up as we go along. The 8 to 10 year plan is 2 chapters. Oh, okay. And there's an ending to our basic story that we'll tell there, but it's not the ending of the universe. So now will Peter and I be here beyond that time? Gunn laughs. I'm already tired. It's been 2 months, but those first 2 chapters are worked out, and then it can go on from there. So that's interesting. So what we're talking about here is a situation where the 8 to 10 year plan is only 2 chapters, not like, what were we thinking, like 3 or 4 phases or whatever. So that's good that they've got that they're planning it out for that amount of time, but it's not like, it's not like multiple different phases that feature all this shit. So, no, Gary here, oh my God, Gary, dude, they had contracts written for certain people in the Arrowverse to be kind of floating characters. All right. People popped up in and out, but it never worked out the way that they wanted it to. Like Captain Cold, fucking Wentworth Miller got the contract. He was the first person when they were doing Legends of Tomorrow and shit. Right. And then he fucking left the show. So, you know what? Pound sand, bitch. Sorry.
Damn, Matt.
All right. I think we're pretty good on this one. I think we're doing pretty good. Okay. Oh, here we go. Will actors play the same role in every medium? This is the important one. Saffron, yes. They will also have to go back and forth between film and television because there's no what word is that? demarcation from us. Okay, if John
I've
Cena,
never heard of that.
that's a word. That's an NBA word right there, Saffron. If John Cena is playing Peacemaker in the movie, he's playing him in the TV series as well. So that's a very important part of what we're doing. So there's no audience confusion. There aren't multiple people playing the same role.
They're very concerned about that.
Because they understand that the average person in Oklahoma isn't going to understand a lot of this shit. So they'll talk about the multiverse. They'll talk about Elseworlds. That is for people who like know what those things are. But for the average audience member, they realize that no, they can't do that. Like they've got to have it be concise.
You know what I'm concerned about, man, is like there are some actors who are great actors, but they're not trained to be voice actors. So what's going to happen with like video games and animation? I'm not concerned about voice actors making the transition to actors because I feel like usually those skills are a bit more transferable. But the other way around, I'm kind of concerned.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one, but I think they could figure it out. But we do have a lot of people who want to get on in. The last thing I want to check out here real quick is this clip coming in from our good pal Sil Abdul, talking about I guess this is what's going on today.
You know what?
Going over the Slate. I haven't seen this, so I don't know what they're going to say at all. But let's find out.
I noticed throughout that 5 minute throughout that 5 minute climax that he did, I noticed that a lot of the programming, what did he say in some of them, especially the I guess the group of heroes that's supposed to be, jaded and they think the world is broken and it's a little bit dark. Then he goes on to another one and says, yeah, that one is a little bit dark too. But and then we got the Game of Thrones type thing for the Amazon. I'm sitting up here like, dark. What does that remind you of? What does that remind you of the gritty and yeah, of course. No wonder he didn't want Snyder to come back. He wanted to be Snyder.
So Abu, you're thinking, and this is what it sounds like too. I'm agreeing with you that.
Wait, what?
Tonally, because Gunn kind of said it a couple times. He said tonally, I'm trying to do this with Swamp Thing and Supergirl. He's trying to do a version of Zack Snyder.
Of course he is. Of course he fucking is. He knew what the winning formula was. What was he gonna say? Yeah, we're gonna bring back the Snyderverse, but that means I can't shine. No, James, you can't shine if Snyder's in the building. Oh, so I understand. Deep Six Snyder, Deep Six the Justice League and everything else, and let me be the new Zack Snyder that everybody will trend 1 million tweets.
I will not. He's gonna try to do it better. He's gonna try to be Snyder and Feige at the same time.
Okay. Like, what the fuck? That was some weird shit. Anyway, goddamn. Goddamn. I don't even know. That's just, I mean, again, like if you ever listen to those guys talk, they just get themselves worked up and they don't know what's going on and they're whatever. Keji asking, wait, what just happened? I got no fucking idea, dude. I got no fucking idea. So a bunch of garbled yelling nonsense. It really is. Taylor here says, is he implying that Zack Snyder invented dark storytelling? Don't you know to these guys, Zack Snyder wrote the Bible, literally the Bible. He's immortal. Zack Snyder was alive when Jesus was crucified on the cross, right? He went on from there to take the teachings of Christ, to write them down in the Bible and to portray them over the course of the fucking couple millennia. There we go. Zack Snyder, the man from Earth. All right. So coming in first is we're just going to wrap the show up with a couple people calling in to give their takes on it real quick. And then we got to watch a Warhammer bit that's got some Henry Cavill stuff going in there. So we'll talk about that.
I actually got to bounce, man. I got some stuff to take care
That's
of.
all good, man. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I know it's late for you. It's late for me. And I still got to take the kids to school in the morning.
Hey, have a good night, Matt.
All right. Thanks for coming in. See you later. All right. Coming in first to give their thoughts on it is Zachary. What's up, Zachary?
You're gonna have to bear with me for a minute, Matt. I just lost a few brain cells watching that Sil Abdul clip.
That's okay. A lot of people do. It's called getting high on your own farts. It's very toxic. You ever heard of like toilet wine? It's very similar.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck was that?
I don't even know. I was sent that. I was like, okay, it was stupider than I thought it could possibly be. Like, still, even on Twitter today was saying like the Flash reboot has now been weaponized against the fan. I don't even know what the fuck he was trying to say. It's like weaponized. Like, if the Flash was always meant to reboot and reset things, which apparently that's what it seems to do, how is it now being weaponized when it's literally performing the function of which it was created?
I don't know, man. After watching that, I mean, you've seen my comments in the past. I've always talked about them taking like a Snyder script for like the next Snyderverse movie and just taking it live on television and just lighting it with a match.
They've some people, some people do just need Jesus. There you go on that one. So overall, because I got a bunch of people to get to still, overall, what exactly is your take on this? Your pros and your cons real quick.
For like the whole
the whole slate. Yeah, the whole slate.
I'm excited. I've never been the biggest DC fan, but I have watched some stuff in the past, like some of the animated shows. So, and I like Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm excited to see where James Gunn takes this.
Good. Yeah. Is there anything that specifically stuck out for you?
I'm excited for the Lanterns show because I like Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Because the animated Justice League movies, the shows from the early 2000s is where I first was introduced to Jon Stewart. So yeah, and the Booster Gold show seems interesting.
Yeah, who do you think is going to be playing Booster Gold? A lot of people have been saying Chris Pratt.
I could see it, but my thing is, I really don't want them to kill him off as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, I mean, it's possible, that they might. I don't know. It does feel like there are going to be a couple people who die in this one. I think Drax and Rocket are probably going to get it in Guardians 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, because I said after watching the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, I always put in all caps on certain comments. I was like, protect Peter and Mantis at all costs.
Well, I think they're going to. I think there's a lot of people really enjoy those characters. So, I mean, Feige isn't one to let him go. He'll find a way to bring him back, especially as we get into the Kang stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I think they're going to pop up there a lot more.
Plus, if I remember correctly, I haven't read all the comics for like Marvel or DC or any comics. But in the one Secret Wars storyline, I feel like I thought Star-Lord was like a big part of it.
Yeah. There's I don't know. Personally, I can't tell you. I've never read them myself, but we'll have to wait and see how it all turns out. So, all right, Zach, thank you very much for popping on, man. I'm gonna move on to the next person, but I'll do Collins more in the future. We'll get that back rolling again. So, all right, buddy, thank you very much. Have yourself a great night.
Yep, you too, Matt.
Thank you. All right, coming in next is Hank the Dark Beast. What's up, man? Hank. Dark Beast. All right, he probably stepped away for a minute, so I'm going to pull him, and then we'll get him back in when he's ready. Also, Nick, your devices are not connected, so I can't bring you in unless there is that. You got to get that fixed, buddy. Mo.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry,
All
I
right.
was muted.
That's fine. You gonna talk some shit?
No, you don't. There's not enough time for that.
That's good because I'd boot you. But
I'm
no,
not in the mood right now. So
you're not in the mood. You're not in the mood. You're not in the mood to troll.
I'm not.
That's what you do, man. All day, every day. I see your tweets. Anyway,
you see whatever. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on everything for tonight?
Overall, it seems to be like, in my opinion, a very straightforward plan. Yeah, none of this like you said, he's not making this stuff up as he goes along.
Yeah,
and kind of reminds me of back in 2011 when they tried to reboot the entire comic book universe with DC the same way, where they left like some of the characters got like soft reboots, like Batman and Green Lantern, but they totally said it was going to be something new. But this is a great way to get more get new moviegoers for this, or more fans. Is just to start just clean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it
No
feels
more-
like it feels like they might have a little bit of trouble with the starting clean part of it, but eventually it's going to get there.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. I've never was against a total hard reboot, and it's just man.
I get you, man.
I'm
I get you.
looking forward. I'm looking forward to anything else other than Superman, Batman. As a big Superman fan myself, I know I give you a lot of shit about that, and you give me a lot of shit about that, which is totally
People hate
fine.
my takes on Superman, though. So
Hey, look, it's fine. It's your opinion. I respect it, but I don't fucking like it. You know.
that's fine. That's
Can we say
fine.
that?
I mean, that's cool.
That's fine, right?
You know, I mean,
My-
it's not my fault. He's a
best
war
friend,
criminal.
like, my best friend actually agrees with you, so like, kind of bone of contention right there. So he likes
Yeah.
Batman more, and I get your point sometimes.
I think
I'm
we
gonna have
lost.
to- Go ahead.
Well, okay, so real quick here because we got to keep moving. What's the one thing you're looking forward to on there?
Two things: Swamp Thing and the Creature Commandos.
Okay, so the beginning and the end, really.
Yeah, because
The Alpha and the Omega.
If you haven't seen Creature Commando shorts on the DC YouTube page, they're only like 5 minutes long, and they're pretty cool.
Oh, I've never heard of it before, so I'll have to go check them out. All right, thanks a lot, Mo. We'll talk to you later, okay?
Probably.
All right, buddy.
Have a good
Thank you
night.
very much. Have a good one. All right, you got it there, Hank. You got there. You
Hey
good?
Matt, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
With the DC.
Whoa. There we go. Hold on. If you move, it gets a little crackly.
Oh, try not to move. Heck of a day with the DC slate, huh?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
As for what I'm looking forward to, probably Creature Commandos and Booster Gold. Honestly,
Well, there's been a lot of rumor about Booster Gold for a long time, so at least now we have confirmation that it's in the works.
yeah. Plus,
Hey.
the Blue Beetle movie does good. We can get the blue and the gold. So.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume, and I know nothing about any of that, so I would assume if that's a real thing, they might be gunning for it, just because. I think they want to have as much brand synergy as humanly possible. The vibe I got from the interviews were that they want to have characters like weave in and out like crazy. And
Definitely.
so that's going to probably be what I would say that's probably going to be a fair amount of what we get out of this stuff over the next 8 to 10 years is like, basically it's like this. If you show consistency by having the actors play those characters across the different iterations, then what you get is you build up that brand loyalty. And look, there's a lot of loyalty towards, let's say, Henry Cavill, as there should be for those specific set of movies. The problem though is that it's like the way that the studio dropped the ball by handling that, and now they've got to kind of rebuild that trust again. But once you're a couple of years into this and you have like the new Superman pops up in a few things and Peacemakers and this and that, whatever, it's going to be a very interesting. You're gonna get a lot more loyalty out of it, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Reasons to do it before they cancel that. So.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Commander here for 2, buddy. Thank you. Says still too hyped for Cavill's WCU to care much. Well, I mean, at least you got that.
I believe the rampant on Twitter today, though.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
The copium has been
Oh,
rampant on Twitter today.
yeah, lots of copium on that.
Yeah, with the Fire Jane, the Cell, the to Netflix yet. Like that would ever happen. They're not going to sell their characters that they plan to use. So.
No, they're doing everything they can to keep as much of it together as possible. But hey, man, I'm gonna let you go to keep things moving. So I appreciate you popping on in, and we'll get you on again sometime.
Talk to Temple of Doom sometime.
Yes, definitely. No time for love, Dr. Jones. No time for love. All right, I'll see you later. Thank you. All right, thank you very much for coming on in, Dark Beast. Next up is Skullman. What's up, Skullman?
Hey, Jarbo, long time no see.
Yeah, man, how's it going? You liking the stuff today?
Oh, I'm loving it.
So what's your take, real quick?
Well, I think it's exactly what DC needed because they have been the DC had such an identity crisis for the past decade, like trying to get their movies out, but at the same time, like not putting out as much quality. It was more quantity, but I am ultimately happy that James Gunn is now, and believe it or not, after I saw James Gunn's Suicide Squad, I said that that they should make him the next Kevin. That WB should make James Gunn DC's Kevin Feige. So yeah, I basically got my wish, and yeah.
No, I think that was kind of the plan to some extent over at Marvel. I think he was going to take over like the cosmic side of everything and really build up from there. And here he gets the opportunity to play in a bunch of different sandboxes, which I think a lot of people out there, they've made complaints about that. Like they don't like his writing or whatever, but I think a lot of more people than not enjoy the writing because it just kind of cuts to the core of the character and it can build them out. And make them relatable. And then, like again, he took Peacemaker, a character no one gave a shit about, period. And it was one of the villains of the Suicide Squad movie, and turned him into one of the most popular shows in 2022.
Yeah.
So it's like, if he can do that, he might be able to make me go, okay, I can get behind Superman.
Yeah. Peacemaker was my second favorite show of 2022. Andor was number one.
Andor was fucking fire, dog. Andor was fucking fire.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that about a Disney Star Wars show because Disney Star has been very hit or miss with me. But I loved Andor. Like I'm not even like I've always loved Star Wars, but I wouldn't like cut my pinky for George Lucas. But I'm a Star Wars fan, like not a hardcore Star Wars fan, but like I loved Andor. Like it was legit like one of the best things I've seen like this decade, like in terms of media.
It was really good. It was really well done.
Especially episode 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean episode 7, the fucking heist was really good too. But also real quick here, for those of you who are fans of Wakanda Forever, you can now watch it on Disney Plus. It's now live right now. So there you go. But all right, Skullman. So
wait, hold on. I just want to say the thing I'm most looking forward to is Swamp Thing. I'm so happy. Like when you showed that James Mangold, who I love, by the way. I love Logan. Like for me, The Dark Knight, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man 2, and Logan are my top 3 comic book movies because they're not only like just great comic movies, but they transcend like the genre like into like being taken seriously like as you know what I mean.
I get what you mean by that one. Yeah, they've taken serious storytelling or storytelling seriously.
Yeah. But yes. All right. I definitely feel like if James Mangold directed a Swamp Thing movie, I would die happy. And if Sam Raimi directed a DC, I would love to see Sam Raimi actually direct a DC movie. Like forget Spider-Man 4 if that ever gets made, but I think Sam Raimi would be perfectly suitable to direct a DC movie because I've always wanted to see Sam Raimi do more movies in general. So because I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan, like going all the way back to my love for the first 2 Raimi Spider-Man movies and the Evil Dead movies in my teen years once I watched those.
Yeah.
And Darkman.
Gotta love Darkman, yeah, absolutely. But all right, buddy. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll get you on again some other time, okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, real quick. I see Nick has been trying to come on, but apparently there's been some issues with StreamYard. If you're coming in from your computer, if you have OBS, you can set up a virtual cam real quick. Or if you got your phone or whatever, you can try that there too. But we'll do a couple more of these. I see a few more people in the back. We'll get through them and then we'll watch the Warhammer thing and then I can go to bed. All right. Blargin69. What's up, man?
Hey, my mic working?
Your mic is working okay, yeah.
Perfect. Man,
So,
it's pretty exciting, honestly.
yeah, it's been a good day. I mean, like, I was wondering what they were going to do. You know, I was hopeful for a Peacemaker season 2 announcement, but the Waller show seems like an interstitial between
Yeah, it seems
season
like
1 and
it's
season
definitely
2.
connected.
Yeah. And also Viola Davis is awesome as Waller, and to see her go full ham is what I think people really want to see.
It's really a diverse lineup of projects, honestly. I was expecting it to be more heavy hitter projects focused, like Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, all that.
Yeah.
Put in some, like Swamp Thing is a big left field pick that I'm really happy about. I love the Wes Craven movie.
Well, I mean, there was also the show that James Wan produced that came out a couple of years ago, and that got a really like unfair. They really dropped the ball with that, in my opinion. And I think a lot of it had to do. I mean, there's the rumors that like they had screwed up the tax incentive paperwork.
Yeah, it got canceled like immediately or something.
Like
right?
after one episode, yeah. And then I didn't even watch it after that. I've never finished the show.
See, like that type of mentality is why they don't want to like.
I know.
Get rid of the
know.
actors. Like
I know, man. It's a toughie. But like when you're a parent, fuck, dude, you only got so much goddamn time. Like,
no, I get it. Yeah,
like I was out tonight doing deliveries. It was dead as fuck. I think I did like 2 orders in 2 hours. Like that's how bad it was. And then I come home and I'm like, all right, I get my kid ready for bed. My girlfriend's out. She's doing delivery. She's got the other kid. And then I'm like, all right, you're good. You got your tablet, your brush teeth. I got to watch the Book of Eli. I got to do a patio commentary on it. And then I'm like, I sit down, get my headphones on. I'm like, I time it up. I'm like, I can finish the movie right before going live. And then like my other kid gets home. She wants to talk. And then my girlfriend wants to talk. And I'm like, half hour later, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to finish this fucking movie. Son of a bitch.
Movies are getting longer every year too.
This is only it's a 2010 movie. It's only like an hour 45 before end credits. It's not that bad, but it's still finding the time to sit down to get a solid hour and a half to actually watch something. Even like watching The Last of Us yesterday was like, you know, an hour and 15 minutes. Like, oh shit, that's a long episode, but it was so worth it. I want to watch it again. So you know, there. But also, real quick, Mo here says, I sent you the shorts on DMs. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate that. You know, but yeah, I'm hopeful for Swamp Thing. I'm hopeful for the Superman bit. I really want to see what they're going to do with Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Like,
dude, that's the one I'm most excited about because it feels like just the existence of a Robin at all feels like they're going a very different route than what we got with the Pattinson one. And I'm glad Pattinson doesn't seem like he's being wiped clean either.
Well, no, I mean, that's because the movie made money for the studio. It was like the number one stream movie on HBO Max. The Blu-ray did really well. The movie did very well theatrically. I mean, obviously there's a lot of love for that, but they realize that it doesn't fit into this universe. So I think they're going to let that play out. And then at the end of that, you know, they're going to close it off, but they might just keep it going. It might just be its own persistent thing on the side. And I think 1 or 2 of those could potentially work. I know that I was shitting on the Elseworld stuff, but I still think that they ultimately, because they keep saying concise, you know, continuity, right? So like, obviously that's going to be the key. That's the big key and everything else. But hey man, I gotta let you go. I still got like 5 more people to get to. So you're excited, you're happy, you're good.
Oh yeah. I really was honestly worried because I'm not a cinematic universe guy. I appreciate this good middle ground between having one with a continuity and the ability for the Elseworld. So I'm really happy about that.
Well, I mean, I'm hopeful we'll get some good shit. That's at the end of the day what I want, you know? And look, if it starts to encroach a little bit on Kevin Feige, good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like competition. Yeah. Competition is key. And maybe other people can finally learn how to build these cinematic universes and not fail after one go.
Yes,
but
I appreciate a different approach to it.
There was a line that Gunn had said there about Kevin Feige and Lou D'Esposito is that they don't quit, they don't stop, they don't give up.
I love that because DC screwed up by giving up.
Yeah. That's some serious shade. Like not only them, but like Sony. I mean, well, Sony's been attempting to run their shit. I don't know why. Like they're like these movies are mediocre. Let's keep going. You're like, wait, hold on. Maybe not do that. Did we like really need Venom Let There Be Carnage? Did that need to happen like that? Where's the unrated cut? Where's the fucking story in that movie? That's my question.
Yeah, the running theme in the Sony Spider-Man universe is mediocrity so far.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know, man. I enjoy them for what they are at face value.
Yeah, I even like Morbius.
I did too. I didn't hate Morbius. I didn't hate it. I'll watch. If anything, I'll watch it again because it's fun. It's stupid, and Matt Smith rocks.
Yeah, he's the best part.
He's the best part of the whole movie. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on in. We'll definitely chat again soon.
Yep. Have a good night.
All right. See you later, buddy. Thank you. All right. So thank you, Blarkin. Up next is H. Bart.
Hey.
Are you on break?
No, I am sick, so I'm.
Oh, you're home. You're sick. Do you have the COVID?
No, my mom brought home a viral infection from the hospital, so
That sounds like COVID.
she tested. It wasn't COVID.
It could be secret COVID. I
Well,
don't know.
rest in
Are you
peace.
okay though? Are you doing good? You doing good? You doing fine? You hanging
Yeah,
out?
I'm fine. I just
You're playing your PlayStation, aren't you?
No, not at this moment.
Yeah, I thought I heard a controller. But all right, man, real quick, because since we don't have a lot of time here tonight, I know it's the end of the night shit. It's just school night. Your thoughts on the slate? You seem pretty excited for it.
Yeah, well, the three things that I'm looking forward to is, for one, the KFC movie.
Yes, we need James Gunn's 7 spices recipe.
And then I know
7
that
herbs and spices.
I
There
know
we
he
go.
won't say it, but Zack Snyder is back as well, which is nice to see that. And then it's nice to know that homeless guy is also getting a movie centered on him.
The homeless guy has got a whole desk in the corner now. Okay. He got the desk in the corner. All right. I left the fight. I didn't win that. I left the fight. I gave it to him. All right. That's my gift to society for the month.
And maybe if we're lucky, we'll get a Jarbo Steel.
Jarbo Steel. That's never going to happen. That'd be funny though.
The thing I'm looking forward to the most is Superman, though, probably.
I think Superman, him battling the duality of his upbringing versus his heritage is going to be very fascinating. Again, cutting to the core of that.
I just hope it follows some stuff from like Man of Steel, because I don't know, I don't really like the other Superman movies because it just feels too boring.
You mean like the Christopher Reeve?
Yeah, like Henry Cavill was the first person to get me to actually like Superman.
I mean, to be fair though, like given your age range, right? Given how old you are, like the Brandon Routh Superman is probably like a little bit of, I don't want to say like above, but like you were like 6 or 7 when that came out, right?
Yeah, I was 6.
Yeah, you were 6. So you're just all like Superman, like Superman, but it's like, like, God, Luke's Lex Luthor, you clearly could speak better than that at the time. But then 7 years later, 7 years later, but my math is correct. So 7 years later, you're fucking 13. Now you're coming into puberty, coming into your own. Your balls have dropped, getting little sprouties on there, right? And then all of a sudden, you're just like, you're watching the Superman is a little bit different. The Superman is all a little older, a little bit like, the subject matter is a little bit more mature. It's not a real estate deal gone bad, which is still really weird for Superman Returns. But it's, you get into it and you're like, oh, there's moral questioning here. The should I versus shouldn't I? And then you're dealing with a lot of that in your own life at that time. So I can understand how that would be something that you could relate to.
Yeah, just like I've always liked Keaton's Batman more than like Bale.
That's a weird fucking. I mean, like I like them both, but I kind of
Bale sounds like he smoked 8 packs of cigarettes.
Why are you trying to kill me? You don't know what it was like in the summer of 2008. Okay, you were only 8 years old. 2008, I was 26. All right, so God, I'm fucking old. And then it's like back that whole summer, all the memes are just, why are you trying to kill me? Like that was it all summer long. That's all we talked about.
I was worried about Affleck though, but he turned out really good.
Affleck did a good job.
And sadly, we'll never get that movie.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, did you ever stop by the post office yet or no?
No, I was not able to today. It's it's just, I had both my kids coming off of school. It's just,
It said it got delivered in Tumwater again. I don't know why it keeps saying Tumwater.
I don't know why what's weird is like the school. It's weird. I live in Olympia. Tumwater is the next city. But they keep and even where you sent my PO box is located in the west side of Olympia, and it's still like it will still go Tumwater. It's fucking weird here. But anyway, man, I gotta let you go. I got a couple of people to get to, but I appreciate you, Hunter. Feel better, get better, dude. We'll talk Waxworks here pretty soon. I'll go pick it up tomorrow and I'll give it a watch.
All right. Eternals is a masterpiece.
Oh God, get the fuck out of here. All right. H-Barts, everybody. Thank you so much. All right. Calvin, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you very much, man.
How's it going, man? Big day, huh?
Big day, huge day. As our former president would say, huge. So
huge day.
Huge day.
No, but just to get into it though, overall, I think the thing I'm most excited about is how James Gunn's going to create the moral compass of this DCU. Because if you look back at all his movies, he creates this moral compass, whether it's Peacemaker or Suicide Squad, the moral core of where these characters act and react from. And that kind of sets the tone for all of his movies. I'm excited to see what he does with that across the entire board. So I think Superman's my favorite movie I'm looking forward to see where Clark's moral compass is going to be. But outside of that, there's a lot of cool opportunities, especially with like the Green Lantern show.
I'm not big into Green Lantern, but that the way he described it, like it's like Green Lanterns meet True Detective. I'm like, yeah.
No, yeah, that's exciting, but
just show Hal Jordan just like rage smoking a cigarette, like in space, like that fucking Sinestro. God
and then
damn
Jon
it.
Stewart's just like, this hell,
Yeah.
like a fucking douchebag again. Yeah, like there's so many ways you could take it, and what I think is cool is you could have a slow reveal, like say Lobo comes out of nowhere at the end of that series, and that kind of ties into the cosmic stuff, and then it kind of expands on the story. Like that's one example. They might not do that, but there's a lot of stuff they can do, a lot of Easter eggs they can plant, even with the Fair Mascara show, Paradise.
Well, and I think they will. I think they are. Like when he says this is like an 8 to 10 year plan, but it's only 2 chapters, you know, and we've only gotten half of chapter 1, and so like. Clearly, whatever they're building to, there's certain things they can't tell us yet because apparently that would give away where they're headed. But like, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Darkseid is still like one of the goals.
Oh, big time.
But
there's so many different ways he can get there. That's what's exciting. And how you feel about the whole moral compass thing and where James might take these characters thematically? Do you think it's going to be a little different with the projectors he brings in, or?
I think that, again, like if the moral compass, the story of Superman and the moral compass is kind of like even one of my favorite elements of Man of Steel.
Yeah,
is like
same.
People like when people are like, in the trailer, when when like Clark's like, should I have let them drown? And then Pa Kent's like, I don't know, maybe. Right? People were fucking mad. Like Pa Kent would never say that. I'm all like,
that's where our society kind of is like morally ambiguous at this point in time.
But what was his reasoning for saying that though? His reasoning wasn't like, yeah, let the kids drown. Fuck them kids. Right? He wasn't saying that. He was saying that like, protect my son. And that's what I feel people need to take away from that shit. Is they're like, they get really uppity about it. They're just like, no, but like Pa Kent would never fucking say that. No, fuck you. He absolutely would. Like any parent. If your kid is like in a situation where your kid could die and the kid's like, should I have like just let him? And you're like, I don't know, maybe. Cause like, I'm worried that you're going to be fucking injured, know?
And that's the thing you have to think about when you have a son like that. And I feel the same thing with the whole Zod thing. I know that was a really mixed bag of emotions, but unfortunately I felt like that was a necessary choice Clark had to make.
Yeah, he did.
As hard as it. And I think, for all the ebbs and flows of Zack Snyder, I think what he was trying to propose is being good isn't as easy as it is in this kind of world right now. And that kind of takes a lot of moral fiber. But anyway, man, that's...
Well, not only to touch upon that, I know, because I do have to move on, but to quickly touch upon your point, though, about Zod, I remember there being like an interview with Snyder where he had made a comment about how like killing Zod was the way to have Clark better understand the fragility of humanity.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've always enjoyed that because it's like, that is like, go back to the whole Dark Knight, unstoppable force, meets immovable object.
Yeah.
And that's a thought experiment. And in this moment, you've got Zod, who's like, look, I'm as powerful as you. I'm not going to stop. All these motherfuckers are going to die. And I'm going to call your bluff because you don't have the balls to stop me. And then Clark's all like, I have to do, he made that call and it clearly pained him. It clearly pained him to do it.
I mean, that was the last living Kryptonian that he knew of at the time.
Yeah.
To preserve his own world, he literally had to destroy his past, which is a great metaphor to me. But I know it was pretty intense for other people, but I personally loved it. But
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
hear
No,
you.
I walked out of that movie going like, dude, fuck, he snapped that guy's fucking neck. And people were like, God, some friends of mine are like really upset about that. I'm like, no, he like clapped that guy's cheeks, man. Like, hell yeah.
I mean,
how many fuckers died in that battle anyway?
Thank you. And I'll end with this. Superman 2. Superman totally kills Zod in that movie too, but
drops him like a bitch.
Totally kills him. Kills him.
What about the guy he fucking throws into the pinball machine? Right? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, Superman. Superman he's grown up with human emotions and everything else. Like, he's gonna smack a bitch at one point in time. I'm not saying like he's gonna want to, but like someone pushes his buttons the right way. Like in Man of Steel, that guy, fucking is a dickhead to the waitress, and he dismantles the truck and puts it on, shoves it on a fucking pole. And people got mad about that. Clark would never do that. I'm all like, Clark's like fucking 19.
And I'm sorry, did he not outrun a train in Superman the movie? Like, isn't that a little?
Oh right, and don't we see Lana Lane and like that shot too, and Ned O'Toole,
showing off a little bit, 100%.
Yeah,
so yeah,
he's flexing. That's a flex right there. Wow, he could run faster than a fucking train. Probably comes pretty quick too. I'm just like, that's maybe not the best thing to kind of vocalize anyone out there, but I'm just saying, I get you, dog. I get you. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we'll have to end it on that note. But yeah, thanks for the chat, man.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Have a good one, dude. Thank you. All right, we got Enterprising. What's up, Enterprising?
Yo, Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just winding things down. So, what are your thoughts? Yay or nay on the slate, man?
I like the slate. I am very excited. I'm cautious because I've seen multiple DC slates, and then after 2 years, what happened to those movies? Are they still making them? Are they still doing this? And then it's like, bam, they're gone. They're not happening.
Yeah.
So I want this to work as a DC fan, as a Superman fan, a Batman fan, as just a fan of this universe. It needs to work, because how many times are you going to try to do this only for investors, shareholders to come in and say, this is just damaged brand, man. We can't do this crap anymore.
I do think this is that, right? I do think this is the result of that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like it's not just DC. Okay. You got to look at it like it's Warner Brothers as a whole. The whole company was fucked, right? The whole company had a lot of problems. And so as a result of that, because remember, AT&T bought it from Time Warner because they wanted access to, Time Warner and their internet, right? It was a telecom is what they wanted. And then they're like, okay, but let's jump into the streaming game. We'll do Warner Media, and we'll bring in Keelar and build out HBO Max. And then the pandemic hit, and the pandemic kind of fucked them. Like, it was, if you think about it, it was probably good because it was like, hey, we can get all these people to subscribe to our service, which has actually started to work out well for them. But at the same time, it was like the cost of that was making the hard choice of having those movies go day and date. And that hurt them the most. That was really what it was. Now,
I mean, I have no issue with Keelar doing what he did. I do think he could have made a few more phone calls, or at least a general announcement or something, give some kind of heads up. But I'm not out here saying this wasn't probably the thing that they, because you have to recoup that money somehow. You have to do something, because you're not going to make money in theaters. So I don't begrudge him that. It's just that because he didn't give a heads up or communicated a little better, a lot of this stuff, like you have Legendary had their issues with it. Roadshow Village with the Matrix situation, a lot, it became a PR nightmare. And when you're having multiple PR nightmares, it hurts your brand. It hurts how people see your company. It makes things even worse for you.
Well, what I think is that he made the right call. And I know that there were probably better ways he could have gone about it. I know that there's probably like, you're right, he could have probably called some more people on it or whatever. But the way I view it is that he made the call he felt was the best, and it's the most long-term business minded, right? Because it doesn't matter if they did the day and date or if they did theatrical or not. Theaters were fucking closed in 2020, 2021.
Oh yeah.
They weren't making, like, we're now getting back to it. Spider-Man really helped, but that was the end of the fucking year, and Matrix would have done better if Matrix was a better movie.
Exactly.
So it's like, but Godzilla v Kong did pretty well overseas, and enough to warrant a sequel. Mortal Kombat did well enough, popularity wise, on HBO Max to warrant a sequel.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was elements. So the thing is, and that brought people over to HBO Max, which was the ultimate fucking goal. But it was just that Stanky and the people at AT&T, they didn't know how to run a fucking media company. They didn't want to run a media company. They didn't realize that, like, the ever shifting world that we live in was going to be the bigger problem there. And so it's like, they were like, that was the whole thing with Stanky was talking to Zaslav, like, through text messages one night. And then they got into this 2-hour conversation. At the end of the 2-hour conversation, like, all right, well, I'll buy it, And so that's what they did. They figured it out. Now Zaslav's a cheap ass motherfucker.
Yeah. I think which always got me, like, you had all these Snyder fans saying, "Oh, he's gonna restore the universe. He's gonna pay a big load of money to this stuff." You do not know where he comes from, right? He's like very physically conservative, very much into penny pinching, and they didn't buy that. They still didn't accept it. And so when we say, this might have always been a possibility that they were going to do this because they're cheapskates, nobody took into that account. All they heard was what they wanted to hear because of what he was saying, and maybe they would have gotten some form of what they wanted. But either way, you're going to look at a cheaper movies. They were never going to let Zack Snyder make a $200 to $300 million budget movie. They would have wanted Zack Snyder to make maybe $128 million movie, or maybe something that's just below $200 million.
Yeah.
But there was no way they were going to allow him to make another $300, $400 million investment into these universes. They want to be more physically responsible, especially not something that he's going to go heavy metal, rated R, potentially age restricted on some of this stuff, unless and that's why it's like they brought in Gunn because they know Gunn is going to try to get this on a more manageable stage. If you can make Joker for like 90 million, or Shazam, or Superman, or a Superman movie for like $140 million or something like that, the one guy that you would trust who would figure out something like that would be guys like Gunn, guys like Todd Phillips, guys who've used to making lower budget stuff works. You know what he did with Super. You know what he did with other projects. So that's what gets me, is that these people don't really understand. You're not really knowing anything going into any merger. You keep doing the same thing. When AT&T bought Time Warner, they immediately thought, "Oh, AT&T is going to save us. They're going to do what we want them to do," and they didn't. Discovery buying, they did the same thing. It's like recycle, and they're still doing that with Netflix and everything. They're not learning that lesson.
Yeah,
they're not learning. They're still doing the same things and still wanting everyone else to buy them out. It's like a girlfriend still hung up on her abusive ex that keeps gaslighting and emotionally manipulating them, and they still keep going back without realizing, they don't want you. They think you're toxic.
Yeah, well, they have to, again, it's all copium and trying to figure it out, sort it out, and everything else. So but anyway, man, I gotta let you go because we got one more guy to get to, and then I'm gonna dip.
But hey, just one thing.
Yeah,
I love what he's doing. I want it to work. Superman, I think, will be great. I think it's going to be in a tone similar to Spider-Man or Captain America. You'll have an altruistic Superman, but he won't be perfect. I think you're going to get a prequel Paradise Lost that's going to lead to a new Wonder Woman, because that seems the most logical to me. If they don't know what to do with Gal Gadot now, there's a chance that she may be out the door anyway.
I think she's out the door. I think she's out.
Yeah.
They're just not going to say it now because she pops up in Shazam.
Yeah,
they're just
so
not going to say it now.
That's clear. Yeah, so they're just setting up a new Wonder Woman, and they want to give time for that. Same thing with Batman. Same thing with these other things. So
yeah,
I think that they'll work it out. I trust Gunn. We'll see what happens. All right, man.
All right, thank you very much, man. Have yourself a good night.
You're welcome. All right,
all
man.
right.
Bye.
See you later. All right, Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, thank you.
Ray, rest in piss to the Snyderverse. You won't be missed.
I mean, like it. Well, okay. Listen, like
here's the thing.
I'm gonna miss it because I do like it, but it is. I want the fan. I just don't want I want the assholes to lose. That's what I want.
Yeah, my opinions as well. But I gotta say, with the whole DC slate that was announced, I am more than happy with what we got.
Yeah, I think there's good stuff there. Again, as I mentioned, the Waller show sounds up my alley. Lantern sounds up my alley. The Paradise Lost, Game of Thrones on Themyscira. Think about all of the scissoring that's going to take place. Much scissoring, you guys. All right, but like to quote South Park, "Scissor me timbers."
But check this out. Like, I know the last guy was talking about Wonder Woman and how Gal Gadot might not come back. Well, here's the thing, though. They have a bunch of different, like, Wonder Woman sidekicks, like side characters, like Donna Troy. I forgot the blonde girl's name, but you also have a new character that they've introduced lately, Yara Flor. Now, I think you could actually do a Wonder Woman 3 where you have Hippolyta die, and then you have Diana take her place as the Queen of the Amazons. And then you have a new one take the place of the new Wonder Woman.
I mean, maybe. There's a lot
you could put Gal in a more back role, but you still get to keep her. But then here's the thing with the Flash that just boggles my mind, and I know James brought it up. He said, okay, so the Flash is a reset. It resets everything. So it kind of starts with the Flash, and then it keeps going. So with all the movies that you're making with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, with Batman and Robin, are you keeping Sasha and Michael Keaton? Because they're still in the ending.
I think Michael Keaton, I probably, at least for right now. Yeah. And then Sasha Calle just makes sense because, I mean, like, why recast her? I think that they realize that they have to, that they have to kind of keep that part going. I mean, they're kind of stuck for a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be a bad look if they recast the nice Latina actress for a blonde white girl with blue eyes.
Well, I mean, like, can't they just go to like Spain or Portugal and find that?
She's Colombian and she's American.
Okay, I'm just saying if you're looking for like the blonde hair, blue eyed.
I got you.
Of Spanish descent, you could head to that part of the world and you could probably find it.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to a lot of it, especially the creative team. And I know you have this weird hatred for Christina Hodson.
It's not that I don't think she's that good of a writer. Now, look, I mean, if the Flash is good, like we'll have to wait and see.
Give her flowers.
If the Flash is good, I'll say. If I have to wait and see. I just didn't care for Bumblebee. The best part of Bumblebee was really like the first 5 minutes. And that was all added to the movie like only a few months before it came out.
But it was a really nice palate cleanser from I only like the first Transformers.
But do you attribute that to her writing or to Travis Knight's directing?
I attribute it to both because Travis Knight did Kubo and the
but this movie was not Kubo, dog. Like, come on,
Kubo
man. Like,
was
Kubo
good,
was great.
But he directed it, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And I think she's growing. I think she's become like if they trust her enough, even though they canceled Batgirl, and then you have the Flash. If they trust her enough, I think she's cooking something. And then they want to bring in Andy Muschietti.
So and I love the Muschiettis. So I mean, I'm down for that. Like, look, if they have a room, the good thing about having a writer's room is that like you can work with other writers and bounce off other ideas, and that could make you better. So she might be like a good world builder. Like, let's give her credit there. Okay, fine. Like, I thought the world building was okay in Bumblebee, and I thought the world building was pretty decent in Birds of Prey. There's like particulars I didn't really care for, but like
I liked seeing Gotham in the daytime. I liked seeing it.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed the use of, I said earlier, I enjoyed the use of color in that movie quite a bit. So
Absolutely.
I feel like there's elements of it she could probably add to that overall conversation. It'd be like, it's like if people were to come to me and like figure out like I think when it comes like storytelling for cinematic purposes, I'm good at kind of like diving into like the simplicity of a story and then trying to argue certain points that would move the story along but convey the same messaging. And I think I'm pretty good at that. Because there was a time when people I knew would come to me to write all their scripts and stuff.
Yeah, you said that before.
Yeah, so it's like, but in a writer's room, if you're talking about like, there might be nuances that I don't have maybe a fundamental grasp on or whatever. So there's a lot of collaborations, and through collaboration, I think comes a better product. So in that particular regard, sure, let's see what happens with that. I think having Tom King on there, Drew Goddard specifically is one who I love because his world building is really excellent. I think his character dialogue
I
is
don't
great.
trust Slater. I don't trust him.
I mean, I liked
Death Note, Moon Knight.
Oh, he did the Death Note movie, the American one, the one that I defended last night.
Willem Dafoe.
Sure, it's probably about how you can defend
Yes. The only good thing about it was Lakeith Stanfield, who's great in almost everything.
Yeah.
And Willem Dafoe. And that's it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was good.
Yeah, there's could be some okay stuff there, right? We give it another watch and whatever, no, I mean, fine. And I liked Moon Knight. I thought it was had a lot of good stuff in it. There was something about it that was a little off, and I think it was the length of the episodes predominantly.
I feel like there was a lot of good lore that they missed, and then they made it this whole big magical Indiana Jones. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but at the same time, he's more of a street level villain, not villain hero.
Yeah.
Check out the Godzilla Mendoza video. He does like this great deep dive into Moon Knight as a character. It's like, yeah, he's spiritual and he has that part to him, but he's so much more than that.
Okay, that's an idea. No, I mean, because these characters, for me, like, I don't read the comics, so it's like I don't have a connection to these characters on that front. But I'm a TV movie guy, so you have to sell me on that concept of them, because that's the way that I process that information, and that's how I see that. But it is after 12:30. I have got to let you go, man.
All right,
because I gotta
give Christina a chance.
Fine.
Give her a chance.
For you, Nick. I'll give her a shot. We'll see what happens there. All right.
Well,
all right.
Thanks for having me on. Long live gun.
Yeah, there you go. Long live the gun. The way of the gun. There we go.
Way of the
folks.
gun. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick. Have yourself a good one, man. Thank you. All right. Also, Willie Jackson just became a matinee member. Willie, thank you so much. That's 2 members tonight, folks. That's 2 members. Thank you, guys. Really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you all so much. This next month's going to be very interesting, but so thank you. But all right there. So we're 2.5 hours in. Man, I got to get to bed. But I did tell Command Unit we would check out this Warhammer 40K, but every character is Henry Cavill. Haven't seen this yet. I think he said just watch the first couple minutes of it or something along those lines. Let me see. I think he said something to me about it. Oh no, it might have been something. Never mind. It was something else, I think. But okay. Anyway, let's give this a go. And if you guys are going to bail out, because some people do when we get to the Warhammer stuff here, I understand. Please leave a like on the way out the door. We're currently rocking 44 likes, 92 people. We can do better. We can get to 50. I think we can do 50. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, friends. What's been happening recently? Well, I haven't been making content, that's for sure. Yes, you get a very rare video from me. Cherish it while you can, because it might be a while before you get another one. And my New Year's resolution is to make more content. Henry Cavill's doing the Warhammer 40k show. I'm very excited about it. My mouth is f***ing dry. I am very excited for Warhammer 40 Cavill. I think you guys should be too. Question is though, and this is a question he has asked himself. The man Cavill himself has said, who's he going to play? Because once he's played one person, he's locked into that role. Well, if you...
Okay, we can jump ahead to...
But I've had some ideas since then. Pre-visualize what these roles might look like with Henry Cavill playing them, because we have access to artificial intelligence, Copenhagen's artists. What if he was Eisenhorn? Boom, there you go. First one. Everyone said Eisenhorn, didn't they? Yeah, well, you know, he looks pretty cool as Eisenhorn. What if he played one of the Primarchs? Well, I thought the Emperor. Look, I'm not a casting director or anything, but I think he'd make a great Horace Lupin Cow. They both look really cool with Henry Cavill's face put on them. In fact, basically everyone's face that I changed to Henry Cavill looks cooler. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that he's a very handsome man.
That's actually very accurate, yeah.
Might be that. What if he was Ferrus Manus? Which might not actually work because, you know, if Henry Cavill's going to be the head of this 40k thing, how can he be Ferrus Manus? If he's going to be the head of the 40k thing, it doesn't really make much sense, does it? Rest in peace, Ferrus Manus. Another potential pick, what if he played everyone's favorite Robote Gilliman? Robote? Reboot?
God, look how thick his neck is compared to his jawline.
Yeah, Mr. Gilliman. What if he played Mr. Gilliman? You know, he looks... And also, you know what? Part of the reason I said he should play the Emperor was because, oh, you know, that way, if he's going to be the head of this, we want to see him, like, really leading this show. I said the first season should be about the Emperor, you know, have it, the first little part of the season be about him taking over Earth, started the Primarch project, then they get split up, then the rest of the season after episode 1 is that he's just going around meeting all the Primarchs. I think that'd be still a great TV show. And, you know, further on from that, he can appear at any point. Arch disagreed. Fair enough, he knows more about Warhammer than I do, but Mr. Robert Gilliman, he is alive in both eras. So... know what I mean? He could be in 30k, and he could be in 40k. And he looks pretty cool as Gilliman too. I mean, look at the guy. He's a... oh man, he's photogenic. I mean, you can have him as basically any Space Marine, but they're too small. The stories are too small. I made him as several hundred Space Marines over the course of last night. Could he play Lehman Russ, the Viking man? He could, but that role's reserved for Alexander Skarsgård. So, yeah. He could also play the Lion. Looks pretty cool as the Lion, wouldn't you agree? He could play both, why not? If they look similar to the Emperor, you know? I mean, the jewels would look a bit messed up. A bit uncanny. I tested him as most of the Primarchs. Tested him as Conrad Curse. Didn't really fit. I also tested him as Vulcan, which also, for reasons I'm not sure, really didn't fit. You need someone who can actually play the character that, you know... So maybe Ryan Gosling could play Vulcan? I don't know. What do you think? Ryan Gosling as Vulcan? I think that'd be a good idea. I tried him as Conrad Curse. Didn't really work out. But then I did my pick for Conrad Curse instead. This is my suggestion for who should play Curse. It's Robert Pattinson. Vampire Man playing Vampire Man. I think that's a great idea. I mean, you could also have him just play a regular boots on the ground guardsman, but that looks pretty silly. Why would you waste him on just a regular boots on the ground guardsman? Have him like Olympia Pius or something. What if he plays other important characters? Like Mephiston. He looks pretty badass as Mephiston. What if he doesn't even play someone human? What if he plays a
Mephisto?
What if he plays a, like, Eldrad? It does not fit at all, but what if? He could be anyone. He did that really amazing action movie with Tom Cruise where he had reloadable fists and a pocket that appeared out of nowhere, where he went from charismatic good guy to, like, scary bad guy. Like that. Alright, we want to go smaller than people like Mephiston and people like Horace Lupercal? What about just a regular commissar of a guard unit? What about the commissar of a guard unit, Cyphus Cain, hero of the Imperium? What about someone like Dante? Look how depressing he looks as Dante. Okay, guys, I had to test just to make sure, to see if he would fit in the role, and I'm really thinking he does fit the role. What about a Slaneshi demonette? Wouldn't see that coming, would ya? What? You can see yourself coming to that. Continuing the trend of bad guys, what about Night Lords? Remember the trailer for The Witcher where he had the black eyes and the pale white skin and that like look on his face as he kills something? Oh man, imagine that's why I, you know, tried him for the Conrad role, but the program didn't like me trying that, so Yeah, Constantine Valdor. I mean, the man collects custodies. It would only make sense that he plays a custody. The custody. What about everyone's least favorite angry person in Warhammer 40k? Angron. Yeah, he's a great warrior. What if the sexiest man in 40k plays the sexiest man in 40k? Fulgrim. He's our favorite nerd. What about everyone's favorite character? A character everybody loves. Sanguinius. Glorious Hawkboy. No one can hate Hawkboy. No one can. Even his most bitter enemies wanted him. That's the crazy thing about this. He can basically play anyone, so who do we pick? Who do we pick? Who do we pick? Okay, guys, who do we... Tell you what, in the comments down below, tell me who you'd pick. You know what? Just give me your casting, and I will do another video where I put those actors on these people. How about that? Okay, give me your casting for characters.
All right, since I know nothing about that world necessarily, can't really give my favorites. But that's you gotta love how AI art has gone as far as it has in regards to, like, it would be really interesting to see what it look like Henry Cavill was this character. You know what I mean? And when I need to pay for a subscription to Midjourney because I don't have one yet. Because I just like to fuck around with it. It's fun to fuck around. The prompt stuff, especially when ChatGTP is down and I'm bored at the library. Anyway, on that note, gents and ladies and whoever else might be here, I am going to go to bed because it's late and I'm tired. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow night. I need a bit of a break. I need a day off. We'll see if anything happens. If anything is interesting going on, then maybe. If not, I might end up going over on the Matt Jarbo channel and doing like another maybe a Boulder talk and talk about just look at weird news stories. There's a couple weird ones that have popped up recently. So if you guys know anything about that, let me know. In the meantime, again, thank you all so much for hanging out here tonight. We got 81 people still watching. We had 130 some odd earlier, so it's great. All right, guys. Have yourself a great night, everybody. Thank you again for watching. Check out the Discord link in the video description, and peace the hell out.